Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good morning to all ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here with us. Of course, this is BEEAH's first Sustainovation Summit. It's wonderful to see you all here. Thank you for making it down. As most of you know, BEEAH is a pioneer for sustainability and digitalization here in the Middle East. Their story is an inspiring one with humble beginnings as a waste management company here in Sharjah. But today they have grown into a leader in the waste management industry. And they've expanded across the UAE and the region. They've also diversified into new industries, including energy, technology, education, environmental consulting, green mobility, real estate, and healthcare. So sustainability and digitalization underpin BEEAH's efforts across all these industries. And I think this is reflected in the three pillars that we'll be discussing at today's summit: decarbonization, digital sustainability, and of course, green education. And I hope you'll agree with me, it's quite fitting that this inaugural Sustainovation Summit is being hosted right here at BEEAH headquarters. Well, it's my pleasure to begin today's event with a few words from Mr. Khalid Al-Harimal, BEEAH's Group CEO. Mr. Al-Harimal has been Group CEO of BEEAH since 2009. As a futurist, Khalid recognizes sustainability and digitalization as twin pillars for a modern economy and future-ready cities, which has driven his experience in pioneering tech ventures and AI technologies for the group's groundbreaking innovations. Khalid is also the co-author of Reimagining Business with AI, published by Wiley in 2020, and holds a bachelor's degree from King Fahd University and an MBA from the University of Bradford. And most recently, he has completed Harvard Business School's prestigious Senior Executive Leadership Program and the Dubai Leaders Program at the Wharton Business School. Mr. Al-Harimal's leadership and strategy has been key in BEEAH's transformation into a holding group with businesses and ventures in multiple future-critical industries. So, without further ado, we'd like to now invite Mr. Al-Harimal to the stage to kick off the day's proceedings.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of BEEAH, I'm excited to welcome you to the first edition of the Sustainovation Summit. Through this summit, we aim to transform insights into actions, ignite groundbreaking ideas, and cultivate impactful connections. Anchored by our themes of technology and decarbonization and green education, we will chart the path to a sustainable future together. In a couple of weeks, COP28 will be held here in the UAE. This is perhaps the most important COP yet, marking a time for critical action in the middle of global climate challenges. With the distinguished guests and speakers here from the private and public sector, we believe that Sustainovation Summit can be the beginning of the conversations we have in the lead up to COP28, the actions we take during COP28, and collaborations thereafter. Hosting COP28 is a major accomplishment for the UAE, but it is also natural this critical COP is held here in the UAE. As the first country in the region to endorse the Paris Agreement, the first to announce net zero by 2050 strategic initiative, and the first to achieve several milestone projects in the energy transition. As a company founded to pioneer sustainability and digitalization in the region, BEEAH has had the opportunity to contribute to the national vision. And here at BEEAH headquarters, this building has become an icon for sustainability, smart infrastructure for the UAE and the region, and even globally. Just across the road is our integrated waste management complex. We have over 10 facilities which are helping us support the circular economy and keep Sharjah waste out of landfill and the environment. Adjacent to that is the Sharjah Waste to Energy plant, which is producing power for over 28,000 homes. This project is the first of its kind in the Middle East and has driven landfill diversion rate to over 90% in the Emirate of Sharjah, the highest in the region. Through partnerships and innovation, BEEAH has shown how societies can be built and operate on zero waste principles and contribute to our collective goal for a net zero world. As we approach COP28, We know that a key objective is to facilitate collaboration across governments and the private sector like never before. This is the way to accelerate towards sustainability targets and make wide-scale impact. BEEAH is proof of that. BEEAH was founded as a public-private partnership, which has allowed us to be closely aligned with the national agenda and collaborate on groundbreaking innovations. The next chapter looks promising for new kinds of collaborations, focused on short-term and long-term action, not just for BEEAH and for organizations in the region, but globally. This event is one of the stepstones along the way to continue that momentum after this event and at the critical COP28 that's upcoming. BEEAH looks forward to making the Sustainovation Summit an annual event here at our headquarters. For today, let's discuss technologies, decarbonization strategies, education, and awareness initiatives that can help shape a sustainable future together. Thank you for being here and welcome to all of you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, of course, to Mr. Raymond, for those remarks. What a wonderful way to kick off the day. We have a series of panels over the course of the day that will be touching on all the themes that we just heard there. But just before we proceed with today's agenda, I would like to share something special about this Sustainovation Summit. The event was designed not just to encourage conversations on sustainability, but to exemplify sustainability itself. So I'm pleased to share that BEEAH has designed this event to be a carbon-neutral experience. We have minimized carbon emissions by hosting this event at BEEAH's LEED Platinum headquarters. Food and beverages have also been sourced to minimize waste. And BEEAH has also pledged to offset any remaining emissions through a certified offset project. So we ask that you kindly take part. Some of you may have seen the QR code when you came in, but we do ask that you kindly share your data on how you travel to the headquarters to help us in this initiative. But without further ado, let's move on to our first panel. Now, the first panel today is on a crucial theme, designing smart and future-proof societies, which will highlight the intersection between technology and sustainability and how it can change societies for the better. So now I'd like to invite to the stage our panelists. I once again invite back up Group CEO Khalid Al-Harayman, Nader Al-Bestaki, Managing Director of the Dubai Future District Fund. Please make your way to the stage, thank you. Hassan Al-Nakhbi, CEO of the Khazna Data Centers, and Mohammed Saif Siddiqui, Head of Sustainability and Smart City at E& Enterprise. And last but certainly not least, our fantastic moderator for the session, Tariq Qureshi, Founder and CEO of Exponential and MAD Group. Please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
You want to sit as per the photographs?
Sure.
Otherwise, everybody's going to get confused. Khalid, I think you're here. Hassan. Assalamu alaikum. The people who know me know that this is not going to be a normal session. I'm going to break the rules, and this is what I start with. I'm a futurist, so is Khalid. When I started as a futurist about 6-7 years ago, I reinvented myself. I completely transformed myself into something fresh and new. 7 years ago, there were very few futurists. Today, every LinkedIn profile is a futurist. So people do that. So today, I just want to set a little bit of context before we start the session. Number one is that the phrase that I apply for sustainability and across is leading from the future, learning from the future, because the future has already happened. It's just unevenly distributed. And we are so happy to bring it back here into Sharjah and into the Emirates. A phrase that I use is that green is the new digital. 10 years ago, digital was just a product in the IT department. Today, it's integral, it's everywhere, it's omnipresent. To me, green should be exactly that. It shouldn't be a department, a CSR initiative, part of sustainability. It should be every single decision that we make. And I think that is one of the critical things we'll discuss today. Another quick one is another phrase that I use all over the world, that sustainability must be profitable, and more profitable than our dirty business. Because until we do that, it'll always be a nice CSR project and not much more. And I think we need to be able to see that perhaps when we're designing our society and so on. The future is data and AI, as we'll talk about today. But the critical thing for me is that, in that whole process of data, there was a phrase that I use, that there will only be two kinds of companies by 2030. A company that is utilizing and applying AI and data strategies and data-led, and companies who are out of business. There'll be very little in between. And I think we need to be able to see that and design our societies and our future-proofing accordingly. And the second is that AI and stuff will be like electricity. It's all here, all around us. We won't even notice it. It is just there. It's just part of it. And last but not the least is exponential dynamics. And I'm giving a slightly longer introduction because I think it'll help all of the questions that go forward. And that is that one of my professors, Marshall Goldsmith, he explained something, and it's for all of you. And that is, what got you here won't get you there. Your law degree, your accounting degree, your engineering degree got you to this point. But the ladder is gone. Bridge is broken, it's blown up. And this building just demonstrates the future of what we are. So, guys, the most important thing we have to do is to change ourselves and be purpose-driven as we move forward. So these are just some opening remarks that I wanted to share with you, and how that speed of change comes together in terms of what we are doing today. Great panel, very interesting. I'm going to stand up, by the way. I don't want to be boring and sit down. Do I have a mic, a handheld mic, so that I can, because I'll be in the audience, breaking the rules. I'm not sitting there. Okay, so let me just start the first question with our group CEO. So how does the whole philosophy of AI and sustainability integrate into your environment and into this whole thing? Because it's a stunningly beautiful building. And how are you doing it?
Okay, thank you. First of all, welcome again for everyone who has joined us here today. For BEEAH, if I take a step back, talk about BEEAH Group and how we started about 15 years ago. We started as a waste management company here in Sharjah, and with a vision to reach zero waste. And at that stage, we started building the infrastructure to reach that target. It wasn't an easy journey, and we had a target of zero waste to landfill. So the first thing we did is take over the Sharjah landfill. After that, we started taking the cleaning contract with the municipality in Sharjah. Then we started building different facilities. We have today over 11 different facilities. And by 2020, by 2022, we achieved a diversion rate of 76%, which is the highest in the Middle East. Then we said, that's not enough. This is where we had a partnership with Masdar. We built the first waste-to-energy facility in the region, and that went live also last year, took us to 90%. That's still not enough. So now our target is to reach zero waste. 90% is also the highest, also in the Middle East. So now we're looking at waste to hydrogen, we're looking at different technologies. But in all this journey, we enable technology. If it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't have gotten there. This is what, for BEEAH strategy, for many years, we worked on a two-pillar strategy, which is sustainability and digitalization. We believe without utilizing technology today, we cannot achieve our sustainability objectives. And AI is just one of many tools that we can use. So we have been working on applying AI in our organization for at least the last 10 years, not only when ChatGPT came online for everybody started using, but we were applying it for at least the last 10 years. So from how we manage this building, we started designing this building, maybe this project 10 years, when we first started this project. And at that stage, we wanted to design it as an office of the future, and to be one of the most sustainable and one of the smartest, reflecting the two pillars of BEEAH Group. So this building is one of the first buildings fully AI integrated from how the building is managed. We have a digital twin to manage the resources, the energy consumption, the water consumption. We have our own gray water recycling plant. We developed hundreds of AI use cases with Johnson Control and Microsoft of how the office experience, the staff experience, the visitor experience. This is a building that's also Without all this technology, we would have not reached also Platinum LEED certification, which is the highest for sustainable buildings. I'm just giving the example of this building, but we've also used AI in other areas. So how we manage our fleet, we have a fleet of over 2,000 vehicles in waste management. We use AI for routing. Recently, we introduced AI vision, so we have cameras in our vehicles where we're able to now, with AI, understand or able to record and monitor if the streets are clean, if the bins need collection. Also, last year, we opened one of our new facilities, which uses robotics and AI to segregate waste, the first in the region. So we've been using, again, technology all with the same vision of zero waste. I talked only about waste management, but we've also done that in other areas.
Yeah, I know it's really important to talk about technology, but I think we also need to talk about society, humanity. And I think you've alluded to that also, and how we merge society and humanity together. Which is interesting looking at Khazna, which is a data warehouse, data structure, which is a JV that you come together. What I found interesting, Hassan, is that you said that you have a sustainable data center. I cannot visualize a sustainable. Can you guys visualize what a sustainable data center looks like? Probably not. Can you make it relatable to us and tell us what it really means?
This is part of our JV with BEEAH Group. So when we met a few years back, me and Khalid were discussing about how we can come together and build a JV partnership to, first of all, I mean, Khazna has been leaders in designing, building, and operating data center, and BEEAH is leadership. They have leadership and expertise in sustainability. So when we thought about building this JV, we thought about how we can build something more sustainable. Data center, as you know, it's a power-hungry infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's a global challenge now for data center to become more sustainable. The reason being is that you can see the demand for data center at a global scale makes it so difficult for data center operator to become more sustainable, because there's really no time to think innovation. So this partnership with the GV partnership with BEEAH have an equal, let's say, interest in making the first sustainable data center in the Emirate of Sharjah. That goes in the same vision that BEEAH is driving the sustainability within the Emirate.
Yep.
So this particular data center will be 100% utilizing the renewable energy coming from the waste to energy plant that Khalid described in his opening. Not only that, we have also moved away from utilizing the diesel for the generators, which is the source of backup for the data center. We are now introducing the biofuel, and hopefully that will be even transformed into hydrogen in the future.
Yeah.
There is a lot that we can do in our design. We are designing the data center with a LEED Gold certificate. So basically that makes the data center more sustainable from the way we build the data center, the facade that we use, the structure of the building, etc. So we are moving away from having to be utilizing conventional way of energy to more sustainable.
Let me make it more relatable and bridge it to you guys. Everybody uses ChatGPT here. Behind ChatGPT is something called large language models. Every time you changed anything in those large language models, or if let's say BEEAH wants to create one, it will require thousands and thousands of hours, perhaps even millions of hours of processing behind. So actually it is very non-sustainable to run those machines. And if you're doing that, that is what happens, is literally things like ChatGPT is power hungry. And that power is what they provide and make sure that it's sustainable. So, simple guy like me, I can understand it like that. Right, Nader, coming to you. This is the DFDF, the BioFuture District Fund. It's a fund of funds. How is it structured? I mean, you're having funds and VCs coming out. What does it mean to us? What kind of projects do you have? How are you making it sustainable?
Well, I'm glad I had great speakers before me talk about their businesses, and I must applaud the work that you've both been doing. A lot of what we do is working with the needs of the large corporates in the ecosystem here, and included. And we're trying to find needs, to your point, how do we create efficiency on top of these large language models, for example? How do we find technologies that go a layer above the infrastructure to create efficiencies, to create more ways of optimizing the output of those large language models. So at a very high level, venture capital seeks those intellectual properties that will create the soft layer of sustainability, optimization that goes on top of these large infrastructure projects. So at a very high level, we're the region's first evergreen fund, and the idea there is that we want to invest in innovation to begin with. So invest in things for the long run, where at the core of it, and we got kicked off with education as a key point that we're trying to get across as BEEAH, as the wider ecosystem here, is working very closely with the large operators. And you've done some amazing work of working with your team to get them to incorporate innovation, Khalid, and that's amazing to hear. But it's working to educate operators to find opportunities for business opportunities for these early stage startups to provide solutions to these operators. And that's the value creation part that we work very closely on within our fund.
Will you actually invest in the region, for the region, promote people from the region? We have Najla Mitra here, who's been a pioneer in this she's working with such amazing startups. Are you going to fund her startups?
Yes, and that's exactly...
Sorry, you paid me for that.
You're doing my business development for me. Well, ideally, we should be working with all the ecosystem providers here because they attract all the talent to their hubs, right? And ideally, we need to work very closely with Shira and everyone that's creating these hub and spoke models where they're creating solutions, upskilling people, connecting them to the players in the market.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they need capital to help them get to that scale, to try out, test out their solutions.
Are you patient capital, or are you going to be beating them up on a daily basis?
You're basically going to my sentences. You're reading me ahead of me.
Okay.
So what I was trying to get at with the evergreen structure that we have is exactly that, is we want to create a patient capital platform to invest into startups to help them without the closed-ended fund nature that the majority of funds in the ecosystem provide. And that's how we segregate ourselves and differentiate ourselves from the wider ecosystem here is directly invest. So we do direct invest into startups. That's where we work with ecosystem partners. But then we also invest in funds in the VC space for two reasons. One is we want to incentivize them to work collectively with us to create one side of the table, not multiple sides to the table, and collectively create value. And the second thing is that creates a platform for voices to policymakers, regulators. And now, if we only direct invested, we'd have a portfolio of 20 to 30 startups per fund. But if we collectively work with this platform, we have 20 plus all these underlying funds portfolios that have voices to policymakers that we create a platform.
Okay, excellent. I still know you as Etisalat rather than E&, but I think it's really important to understand where Etisalat, how they transform, because in today's world, we don't have verticals anymore. Telcos are not telcos anymore. Sustainable companies are not sustainable anymore. They are into digital and other environments. How did you transform from a boring telco making too much money to a tech company? Because you're now a techco, not a telco.
That's absolutely true. Thank you for that question. So I was actually going to say that for all those, yes, Etisalat. But it's now Etisalat and amazing.
Okay.
So the entire idea was to, as you said, the telco, the core of our business, the largest part of our business. But then looking at the way in which technology and the market and the needs of our customers, the needs of the wider industry, the government, how they were transforming and progressing, Etisalat needed to be, a leader in that change.
Yep.
So that's where this shift, or one of the aspects of this shift, is from the need and our position as a technology leader, as a market leader, to be able to fulfill those and partner with our customers to fulfill those needs. As you mentioned, yes, the idea is that, yes, the biggest chunk of the business is telco, but then technology is growing. This is soon going to see, not just within telcos, in the wider market, this is going to be a shift. Core technologies will go, on the back foot. New technologies, innovative technologies, and sustainability is going to lead and change that entire balance.
Thank you for that. And I cannot go through an Etisalat person without asking, you can do all these technologies, but you can't give us WhatsApp. and WhatsApp call. I mean, give me a break. How
Our
much more
calls-
money do you want to make?
Our calls are better than WhatsApp.
No, what? But seriously, why? And this is an innovation summit. It's a closed group. It's Chatham House rules. It's not going out to public. We are talking about openness and all of these things, and we have our two telcos doing that to us. Honestly, I mean, not as a political statement. I'm not putting you in a corner, but,
No worries.
but what do we need to do to become part of that ecosystem?
Okay, I don't want to make a lot of political statements here, but I'll tell you, there are services, similar to WhatsApp that are still open and available. So there is something in the regulatory, world domain that a lot of compliance needs to be done. And so, yes, there are some steps needed in there, but probably not elude them openly in this manner. But yeah, there are certain services that we have enabled, that the telcos, it's not just us,
Yes.
it's the entire telco, community within the country
no
that
worries.
have enabled. So yeah,
I don't want to give you a hard time.
thank you.
But it's real, right? It affects all of us. We have to go around and VPN, break rules, and all this kind of stuff, which we all do.
That's illegal.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Getting back to the core of today, there are two words that really connected with me, and one of them was society. How we as a society adjust to all of these new things. And the second word is, what does future-proof mean? What are we trying to proof ourselves from? Because, technology is amazing, it's great, it's a great tool, but what do we need to do to make us, Mr. Khalid, I think perhaps you can comment on that. Firstly, what's smart in terms of this context, in terms of designing societies and companies? But more importantly, how does it impact society? How does it impact all of us?
Technology must make our life better.
Sure.
BEEAH's vision, is pioneering sustainable quality of life. So for us, we see technology as an enabler to create a better world, to be able to do your job better, to be able to do your job quicker. So that is a tool that we need to use more of. So this is why, BEEAH, we started in waste management, as I was discussing 15 years ago. Today we've become the largest waste management company in the UAE, and we had a target of zero waste. We knew that a few years ago that we were going to get there. So we had to, as a private organization, continue to grow. And we decided to to diversify and start investing in technology business. So this is our partnership with Al-Khazna is one of the ventures we started, but all back to quality of life. So the other one is Evotech, which today we do the track and trace of all medicine in the UAE on behalf of the ministry. So why is that important? Track and trace of medicine. It eliminates counterfeit medicine. It eliminates illegal medicine entering the country. It gives data to the ministry to use to manage strategic supply of medicine. All this improves quality of life. Another business that we started is called Relife, also another digital venture, which is a marketplace for trading recyclable commodities. So this also accelerates the transition of zero waste for buyers and sellers to be able to have access to material quickly with more value. So that's actually been doing very well. We're now expanding internationally. So I go back to say that at the end it's all about quality of life. Now we're working on a new hospital project, a new healthcare project, which is we're working with our partners from Mass General Brigham and Dana-Farber to bring in a concept of what is the healthcare system of the future, what is the hospital of the future. So this is another project that BEEAH has also diversified into. So it all goes back to better quality of life and using technology. And like this building is the office of the future, we're always looking at the future-centric industries.
I'll ask this question, open question to all of you, and anyone can answer. Sustainability is about changing behavior. It's our mindset. Everybody, we have to change that. I know a bank in Abu Dhabi who creates 1 million to 2 million dirhams worth of waste of product, PCs and so on. They can sell it for 1 million dirhams to the retailers in Sharjah, who will take out the important bits, the lithium and stuff like that, and chunk it. throw it in the waste. And that is not properly managed. Now that will cost, they will receive $1 million dirhams for that, let's say. On the other side, you come to BEEAH, you go to EnviroServe, you go to people like that, in that circular economy, it'll only be 500,000 because you have to go through that process. How many CEOs here will be ready for the procurement department to make 500,000 dirhams less just because they are being sustainable? That to me is behavior. Do you guys see anything like that happening? Is that procurement boards, CEOs are actually being told that net zero is not just a phrase. This is not a box tick. It will cost us something. Circular economy is good. By the way, the landfill in Sharjah was causing disease and kids were suffering, but people were coming and selling it to them rather than coming into quality organizations like that. How do you make that shift? What do we need to do to boards and stuff like that? You deal with them, you deal with them. Any thoughts? Anybody? Difficult question, but it's important because it's real. Because this is what people
Maybe
do.
I can start from the data
Please.
center perspective, and maybe this is maybe an area where Khalid can actually applaud. So we as Khaznan, as we develop the infrastructure, is the digital infrastructure that allow the acceleration of the digital economy, we have a mandate. One mandate is by the leadership of the country, and the leadership have announced that by 2050 they want to achieve a net zero, and that's basically a mandate that we have and we take seriously. So there is a stakeholders, let's say, accountability for us to be able to be sustainable, but also we are mandated by our clients. Most of the clients we deal with, especially the global clients, sustainability is part of their criteria. And actually, one particular part of that criteria is the waste management. So we have started our initiative of not only recycling waste, but also making sure that the waste we collect from all these data centers that we have, it's a zero waste. So basically, we work with leaders like BEEAH and others to make sure that the waste is being collected from the facilities that is not only recycled, but also make sure that there is zero backfill for that waste. So that's basically the mandate coming from the client side.
I understand that. So Nader, and I'll come back to you. Nader, will you be investing in companies who are actually looking at the more human side? Make little bit less money, balance today with tomorrow, but look at that. Is that part of your mandate? Look at companies who are doing good as opposed to just making money. Because you're a fund, you need to give returns. I'm a serious question because I deal with this all the time.
So we're in a privileged position to have government anchor investors, and that means we have a double bottom line of the fund. So creating the social impact, creating environmental impact is part of our double bottom line. But the way that it works in a fund model is it's hard to incentivize that in the long term. So you incentivize that in piecemeal, in medium, short-term sort of deliverables, as opposed to this long-term monetized model of giving me my IRR as an investor into a fund. So it's really driving that narrative in profit and, as opposed to, and then finding a route to profit, which you stated in your opening statement, and I think it was a beautiful statement. Looking at profitability within sustainability is key to finding that impact.
It's that mindset shift.
It's the mindset shift that you're alluding to, and that's the way we look at it. And it's amazing to sit on this panel and see how sustainability is actually driving profitability, whereas in the past it's always been sustainability, where are we going to make the money? There are examples of it right here on this panel. So I mean, it's that mind shift, I think.
Nader just mentioned the double bottom line. He's being very conservative. Most places are now talking about triple bottom line. You know what those are? People, planet, profit, and there's a fourth, purpose. We work around purpose, and now there's a fifth, which I bring in all the time, and it's peace. And it's peace and love. Because without peace and love, what are we doing this for? So those are the 5 things that we need to be able to look at when we are looking at future companies. Sir, you are a technology-based environment. What are the kinds of initiatives that Salas is introducing in terms of smart technology? Is it IoT? Is it recognition? And then my question on that one is it not too intrusive? How are you maintaining confidentiality of that data? What are issues around cybersecurity? And then I could go back to Hassan and check. So what are the kinds of smart city initiatives that you guys have at the end?
I'd like to maybe, before I go into the smart city initiative,
Yes.
picking just a small aspect of the previous question, what we are also aiming to achieve, and I'm speaking from the telco side, is that when you make that phone call, it's going to be the lowest carbon footprint phone call that you make, right? That's also one of the aspects. So don't link it to the WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is not sustainable, that's why.
Yeah. So by the way, maybe an interesting level of detail for everyone. We spoke about AI, and I still have the question in mind. So one of the ways in which we are doing that is by deploying technologies, AI, which make the routing and switching and processing of those calls and those data much more efficient. So it's the same network quality, it's the same data service that you have at a lower carbon footprint. Those are some of the things we as a group are working on. So that was the telco hat of mine, okay, or of our group. Coming to the smart city side of it. Now, smart city is not something new for EAND or EAND Enterprise now, because that function falls under EAND Enterprise, part of the group. It's something we've been doing for nearly 10 years.
Are there any physical examples? Is there a benchmark, prototype, somewhere we can go and say, that's a smart city?
We do. In the UAE, there are 5.
Okay.
There are actually 5 proper smart cities. That's not a lot, by the way, because the market is slowly progressing. And even if you look at sustainability, it's slowly, the mindset is changing, business processes are changing.
Right.
But when we look at smart cities, we look at essentially 3 or 4 very key important things. And actually, I was very happy. All of them are in the topic of the discussion today. The first thing, before I reach the sensor and the platform, anything, that's the last thing we look at in a smart city. The first thing is the society. Who is this society? Who are we supposed to serve with a smart city? Is it people, us, living in our homes? Yes. We need services, we need, enablement. Is it a business running in an economic city? Is it a service provider within that? So that's the first thing that comes to us when we say smart city. Great. What's the next? The next is, what are the goals of this city? It's an economic city. What do they want to achieve? We were speaking and we saw Mr. Khalid mention about a sustainable city coming up. It has certain defined objectives. That's the second. Future-proof, the most important. What's the future? Future are those goals. If those goals are not met, the project is a failure. It's not future-proof. So then the bottom line for us when we look at smart cities is that how do we define those goals, identify them, identify the processes that the people and the business need to run through, and create a technology mix that ensures those two are met. That's when we start, okay, we need a sensor technology of certain type on the roads for traffic monitoring, for waste monitoring. Oh, we need a platform that does such and such. So it's really technology driven by those goals. That's how we look at smart cities. And there are real examples. In the country, I probably won't name them. There are 5 different solution providers who have done 5 different smart cities in the country. To varying extents of, let me say, success in terms of achieving all the sustainability objectives, achieving all the efficiency objectives. Yes, the technology is in place to actually move there.
So, I'll say something again. As you can see, I'm a little bit controversial, but to open conversation more than anything else. As I was driving in from Dubai to Sharjah, the other side of the road was completely blocked. And every single day, and it rained the other day, it takes 2 hours to get here. We can talk about itsy-bitsy small stuff of smart things. You don't build a railway and EVs, they're here. The carbon footprint of that road is probably the highest in the world, or one of the highest. Until we don't change that philosophically, isn't all of this, Mr. Khalid, maybe you can comment on that, isn't this all just nice rather than being deeply meaningful until we change some of the big stuff?
Well, I think, investments are happening to improve the infrastructure. The UAE today has, I believe, one of the best infrastructure in the world.
Indeed.
And I think that investment is continuing. So, and the quality of life here in the UAE is much better than many other places of the world. That's 100%. Why people are moving here.
But it's also the highest carbon footprint in the world. I mean, not in the world, but a very, very high carbon footprint.
The UAE is also investing a lot in combating that. This is a year of sustainability here in the UAE. We have COP28. So there's a lot of investments happening from both the government and private sector, more than anywhere in the region. So I see a lot of change, also a lot of awareness across the board, from the schools to public, private, and sector. So it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, just like it took us 15 years to reach our target of towards zero waste. It's a journey, and the UAE, I think, will continue leading in this area.
Absolutely, and I admire the work that you are doing at BEEAH and others, because I think you're the beacon. You are the people who go out there and show how it's done and build something which is meaningful, and that hopefully would inspire a whole generation to say, this is what I'd like to do, and perhaps inspire a new generation. So before I go to the closing questions, I know I'm challenged for time. May I request if there are any questions to the audience because I've been opening up some elements. Is there anybody who would like to ask a question? Yes.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment about the very important point you raised when you said, if you're a company wanting to sell your waste, electronic waste, to someone who extracts some components and make money, you make a lot more money than just selling it to BEEAH, who would recycle and produce zero waste almost, hopefully soon.
Correct.
And the problem here is not with the companies. The problem here, I mean, we're working, my name is Rabi Bashoush, I'm based out of London and Sharjah. And we work with governments on policy making for sustainability, one of the aspects we do. And the problem here is that governments have to intervene to create a level playing field.
Sure.
And particularly to make waste and CO2 more expensive. And that's the problem. And that's not an easy problem to solve. Because if you intervene and make carbon emission more expensive, you're making cost of business more expensive. So this is where BEEAH probably can do much if it's cheaper for you as an organization to dump your waste and treat
Indeed.
it in an improper way compared to property.
Is there a question, or that's just a comment?
That's just a comment, but
Okay.
maybe there's more.
So the question, Mr. Khalid, and perhaps others can join in, is what are the kinds of compliance issues and regulatory issues that we need to bring in to make sure that these amazing things are, and it facilitates things for you and the organization, because at this moment in time, the regulatory issues are not supporting you enough.
Yeah. Well, if I talk about waste, we're working here in Sharjah closely with the municipality. At the federal level, we're working with the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Economy. So a lot of effort is being taken care of. But waste today, there is seen as a resource and value. So I gave the example of ReLife that we established. ReLife is a platform that allows any waste generators that wants to get value from that material. It provides much more value than trying to sell it yourself. So, and its prices of material is based on international market prices. So there are such platforms today with whatever type of waste allows you to reach those, to get that best value.
Indeed.
At the same time, as we start investing in building infrastructure to treat and today in waste management, the biggest contributor for green gas emissions is landfills. That's the biggest from the waste, let's say the integrated waste management, from collection to recycling and so on. So getting rid of landfill is a target that the UAE has set. We're almost at 0%, we've already almost reached zero. So the landfill, as you drive out today, you will see the Sharjah landfill on the other side of the road. What you see there is not being used anymore, since we've now reached almost zero waste to landfill. So now we're looking at repurposing that to a solar farm that will provide renewable energy to surrounding areas, surrounding projects. So this is being addressed. I go back saying the UAE is doing a lot of things to address the problem of waste and eliminate landfill.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum
I just want to say thank you for this insightful sharing knowledge. Since we are talking about the big elephant, waste management, I would love first to say congratulations, Mr. Khalid, for the regional initiative, Waste to Energy, that you are working closely with the CERC and other parties. My question, since we are talking about society and individual and how we are powerful in terms of believing on the power of individual, is there any specific programs that currently you are developing to involve the community? And since we are talking about technology and smart, especially for startup companies, push them to believe on the needs of waste technology, because I believe everyone can listen a lot of startup who are believing in AI and digital, but I from my opinion, I haven't heard a lot of startup who running to present technology for segregation, for waste management. Do you have this kind of focus to push people to believe more on, we need you guys to believe on, as you said, waste is a wealth, is not just unwanted material. I want to know more about this part, please.
Sure.
So bringing society, bringing our community, because a lot of the society shifts will be community-led. Great question. Thank you, ma'am.
So to answer that question
Anybody,
from the BEEAH side, so that's it. Thank you for the question. So awareness is very important, and educating the society and the people of the UAE. So to give an example, here at BEEAH, about 12 years ago, we started the BEEAH School of Environment. So that's for, and over the 12 years, we've educated over 250,000 students. And it's, so this is one program. We started a successful program. Now it's expanding across the UAE. Now we're moving on to focus on the public and private sector executive training. We're working with the Sharjah government today to offer, making it mandatory for every Sharjah government employee to have a certificate in sustainability. So this is something that we're working on and we should be announcing very soon. So this is a continuous program with private sector. We are actually approached by a lot of companies and we offer programs to companies. We have our own awareness, training, education team that has ready programs, whether online or and we do a lot of this work already. So we're happy to provide any of that information. Maybe afterwards, we have here Hind, who is our CEO for education. She's leading these efforts.
And if
Yes.
I might add, because this links quite well to the previous question as well, is the role of government in all of this as well. For the first time, we have a fiscal lever with corporate taxation. A lot of us here are filing them for the first time in the next month or two. For those of you who haven't started looking into it, good time to. But that is a fiscal lever we've never had. And rather than going the regulation way, is leveraging that to incentivize investment into sustainable, into green, and helping the leadership that BEEAH and similar companies are showing in the space to do more. And I think that's a great opportunity to put that out there.
Maybe if I can just two
Please.
sentences.
Yeah.
We actually see this, putting our hat as a solution provider into the market. We see this as an experience from our customers, two parts. We spoke about, selling the waste to BEEAH gives you less money, but gains you more corporate value. How? By getting access to green funds. Would you rather make 200,000 dirhams extra from that example or gain 1 million dirhams of green funding? Oh, that 1 million dirhams is much better because it enhances your business. So there are a lot of levers like this, and we practically see them from our customers. When we talk to them, what are your objectives? No, I want a smart energy management solution. No, objective. First objective, then solution. All of these things come in. So slowly, though it's not extremely profound, the government is going, in a very, very, let me say, structured manner in this. It's not, hey, mandate, do everything. It's slowly growing it so that the business also grows. So these are real needs we see from the customers, and maybe something very forgotten. I knew this would get forgotten. It's always forgotten in all of our conversations. The last mile. The best technology can be in place, right? If the last mile, that technician in the field or the manager sitting in the office isn't using that technology, it's a waste. Goals are gone, future is lost. So involving society also involves ensuring onboarding the people and the stakeholders into those technologies so that the objectives are met.
No, that's a wonderful, wonderful contribution. I will talk about immune systems. We have an immune system. We had COVID, and the immune system blocks any kind of virus that's coming from outside, any kind of new thing, new change, new product, new rules, new regulation, new market. And our first instinct is, because we've got our amygdala here, which survival mechanism, which clicks in and it blocks. Corporations also have an immune system. Most corporations, and I work on a lot of boards, everything is fine, 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 until you bring in some change. And the moment you bring in that change, block. Haven't been done, it's too expensive, the project isn't there, we can't do it, we need training, we need this. There are 100 reasons why you cannot, and that's a corporate immune system. You're a great leader. How you have broken the corporate immune system within your organization. What about all of the other CEOs, boards, and people like that? You see, how do you encourage them to break that? In other words, be more embracing and be able to. Technology is a great lever, but how to embrace the new things that are happening, which will enhance our society to make us future-proof, because that's hopefully how we're going to get there.
I can talk about BEEAH, and what we've done. We've been a very agile organization. We've always invested in innovation. We've always invested in our people, and we continue to do that. And we're always changing. So BEEAH 10 years ago is different than 5 years ago, different than it will be in the next 5 years. So actually we're working now on a program, a 10x program with all of BEEAH Group. In the last 10 years, we grew by 10 times. So now we've set another target to grow by another 10 times. And the success, I believe, for the first 10 years is that we were very agile. We were quick to make decisions, but today we become a bigger organization. And how to avoid us becoming more bureaucratic and more the bureaucracy of a large organization. We start seeing it now coming in the organization, but we need to continue growing. So this is something that we're actually, it's a transition. You also have to be patient when you so that's patient when you want to achieve a target, but also empowering. We're now in the stage as we grow bigger, empowering more, developing more of our team. It's a continuous process.
Indeed it is, and I would encourage leaders like you to be like the pioneers within other board members, leaders, companies, and so on, to see the agility that you have in your company and the ability to see forward into the future, because most CEOs I come into contact with are not ready and as flexible and as agile as you are, because they're 65 years old, the kids are at school, everything is happening. Why should they change? Why should they start doing this? So these are the kinds. And one last thing, another big elephant in the room. I leave the elephant on the table, and that's in sustainability. And one of the biggest issues we have is food, and the lack of food, and the consumption of food, and the production of meat. 30% of the global resources and our carbon footprint is based around that. So I've been given a signal. I have to end. So what I'm going to do, with your permission, is one closing takeaway from each one. We'll end with you, one takeaway, and then we'll close.
Okay, thank you for that. Privileged to have been with the audience and this panel. My takeaway would again just pick up on the most important thing that we see from our experience is that last mile. There are two aspects to the last mile. Ensure that the technology that you're deploying is also future-proof. Tomorrow, cognitive cities are living in the sky, but hey, my sensor is not capable, gone. My user is not capable. So all objectives failed. So any project that's being thought of needs to ensure that that last mile comes in. Only then all of the objectives till the sky, I mean, we have huge objectives in place, can be met. So there's a process around that, and wish all the success to my panelists and all of the audience.
Thank you. Takeaway. What should they do tomorrow which can help you?
Well, I'm not very creative, but I'm a good listener. So I'll steal your lines here. So there are two takeaways that I had from this discussion, and green is the new digital.
With pleasure.
And sustainable must be profitable. We hold that very close to our hearts where we are, because at the end of the day, we won't support something that doesn't make business sense or impact sense.
So that's the takeaway, green and sustainable. Thank you, sir.
For me, it's basically how we can develop an ecosystem that actually drives sustainability, not only from one aspect to it, waste management, and BEEAH as being leader on that, but we need every single ecosystem within our portfolio that help us actually drive sustainability for the future. Because in the
What
next
can
10
they
years,
do? What's their takeaway? What should they do tomorrow morning?
they need to invest in
data.
in data, and they need to invest in companies that can provide solution for our data centers. So that's what we want them to do.
Mr. Khalid, last comment.
Again, thank you all for joining us today, and also for all our guests here. It's a privilege to have all of you. So I think one is, we need to embrace change, embrace technology, and more collaboration. And so I think part of BEEAH success, a lot of the companies and successes we've done is through collaboration, whether it's with Khazna, whether it's with Mastar for our waste to energy. So embrace collaboration to achieve your targets.
And my final comment, ladies and gentlemen, is that technology is going to assist us because anything that is can be digitized will be 1,000 times faster and 1,000,000 times cheaper. But anything and everything that cannot be digitized, love, harmony, compassion, heart, spirit, soul, creativity, judgment, critical thinking, they'll be 1,000,000 times more valuable. And those are the things we need to invest in to build our societies and be more human in the future. Just use technology to support us. Thank you very, very much indeed to the audience.
Huge thank you to our esteemed panel. Just before you leave, we ask you just if you would stay on stage just for a minute, just for a group photo. Thank you very much. Let's hear for our first panel today. His wonderful thoughts there, leading us, of course, into how we can have a more sustainable future, and obviously some good topics for discussion moving to COP28. Thank you, Tariq. So with that in mind, we're going to move swiftly on to our second panel of the day, Navigating the Road to COP28, Decarbonization Unveiled, which is designed to shed some light on how organizations are working towards net zero emission targets. Well, we'd like to invite to the stage our panel of experts for this discussion, Ahmed Al-Zakri, Group Manager, Carbon Reduction at DP World, Ayman Ismail, Vice President of Industry and Business Development at Schneider Electric Gulf Cluster, and joining us virtually, Engineer Ibrahim Al-Zu'bi, Chief Sustainability Officer at ADNOC. It's also my pleasure to invite to the stage, please join me in welcoming BEEAH's own lead engineer, Nof Wazir, who will be moderating the panel.
Can you guys hear me? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nof Mohammed Jamal, lead engineer here at BEEAH, and I am very pleased to be your moderator for today's interesting panel discussion, the approaching COP28, the journey to decarbonization. Now, on our collective path to achieve a net zero future, and also putting in consideration the countdown to COP28, it is crucial to put in consideration the important and ambitious efforts that organizations and industry leaders are putting to combat emissions and to reduce emissions in their respective organizations, so that we can collectively work together to create a more sustainable future. Now, throughout the interesting conversations that we will have today, we are going to hear some very valuable insights from our wonderful speakers today, but they will not only share that, they will also share the lessons that they have learned in their respective journeys, so that we can strive together to create a world where our collective efforts to combat climate change will, in the end, be the driving force to create change. So now I would like to welcome our wonderful speakers. First of all, Mr. Ibrahim Al-Zu'bi is joining us online. Mr. Ibrahim, can you hear us?
Assalamu alaikum, good morning, and I do apologize for not being in person in the amazing BEEAH HQ, but I've been asked to join an executive leadership meeting at 12, so I apologize.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Ibrahim. Mr. Ibrahim Al-Zu'bi is the Chief Sustainability Officer at ADNOC. Now, Mr. Ahmed Al-Zakri is here with us, the Group Manager of Carbon Reduction at DP World. And also joining us here is Mr. Ayman Ismail, Vice President of Industry and Business Development at Schneider Electric. Thank you for joining us. So we would first like to address the questions to you, Mr. Ibrahim. ADNOC has recently announced that it intends to reach net zero by 2045. How is ADNOC reducing emissions to achieve this goal?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you again for having me. I do apologize again for you guys and for my fellow colleagues and the panel, but I'm sure you have a great minds in person there. And I promise that I'll have another visit for the great, again, amazing, beautiful building of BEEAH. So at ADNOC, we are focused on ensuring that each unit of energy has less carbon than the last, and that's very important for us. So with this in mind, it's critical that we continue to provide the energy the world needs while ensuring long-term sustainable growth. And that's technically what ADNOC stands for within the UAE and outside the UAE. So part of our new business model now is to include, when it comes to sustainability and to zoom into your question on the net zero by 2045, is to include an initial, to have an initial allocation of $15 million to invest in priority projects to help us to achieve the net zero by 2045. So we have a target of 2030, 25% by 2030, and such projects include doubling our carbon capture ambition to 10 million tons per annum, working with customers to support their decarbonization journey by looking at potential of clean fuels such as low carbon hydrogen and ammonia, while building a footprint of renewables for sure through our work in Masdar. So to do that, we enhance our investment in a new, cleaner energy solutions through new partnerships and our investments again in Masdar, another future energy company, one of the largest renewable companies in the world. As you know, Masdar started in 2006 and is now present in over 40 countries across 6 continents, and as committed or is committed to invest in worldwide projects with a combined value of $30 billion. And this is where our renewable energy arm. So investing in the energy transition includes all of the above, and of course, when we look at net zero future, when we look at it, it must make good business sense to realize the sustainable investment. So this is how we look at it. This is how we approach it. We have a target. We have an initial budget for it. We started investing in different decarbonization projects, as well as future-proofing the country by investing in clean energy via Masdar.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Now, touching on the topic that you have mentioned, which is the importance of partnerships, one of the prerequisites to decarbonization is effective stakeholder engagement that you have obviously also talked about. So can you give us some more details on how is ADNOC leveraging partnerships to accelerate its climate action?
I hope you all heard the President-designate of COP28, His Excellency Dr. Sultan Al-Jaber's speech last weekend, which is 2 days ago, for the pre-COP meetings, when he talked about partnerships. And this is what COP28 is all about. And I am personally excited. It's going to be one of the most inclusive COPs. So leveraging partnerships will be fundamental to not just our industry, by the way, or even ADNOC's targets, but for the global economy to meet the goals for the Paris agreements. So for us, the way I look at it is we have 3 types of partnerships that I would like to highlight. One, partnership between the supply side and demand. A good example, hard to abate. cement, aluminum, fertilizers. The second one, the unconventional partnerships that link our industry with cutting-edge technology providers, and this is the climate tech part. The third one is building on long-standing collaboration and evolution that our industry is known for. So we are an industry of joint ventures. We know the partnerships is important, but it's time to identify and dive deep into the partnership we'd like to have. And that's where the evolution of the partnership as we know it is there. So in our sector, for example, we need to lead by example, and we are aware of that as we move forward in the energy transition. To do that, we really need real action. Real action is exactly what I've mentioned as an answer in the first question. So to give you examples, you all know that we recently announced the accelerated net zero ambition to 2045, and this to support UAE's ambition to achieve net zero by 2050 and committed to zero methane by 2030. We are all aware that methane is a harmful GHG gas, and we know the technology to remove it from air, then go and implement it, go and do it. And this is exactly what we're doing. We'll be able to zero methane by 2030, and this is exactly leading by example. And to do that, we're part of the UN OGMP to talk about the targets for methane. And these targets, by the way, when you have a target for 2030 or 2045, it really needs to be backed by real projects. So for me, it's important to have a net zero commitment, but the discussion should be on the how. We need to talk about the how more than the ambition itself. So for us, we have real projects like ADNOC's Regional First Electrification Project to bring clean energy to our offshore operations. Our onshore already 100% connected to clean energy, be it solar or nuclear. Now we allocated around $3.6 billion to do the same thing for our offshore operations and the electrification of the operations. This summer we engaged with Occidental company to investigate significant investments in direct air capture, DAC, in the United States and the UAE, and together with BEEAH and Mubadala, we announced a new partnership and the Masdar brand to consolidate efforts and investments in renewables and green hydrogen. And through our shareholding in Masdar, of course, ADNOC is actively in renewables in more than 40 countries. So partnership really matters. That's why I would like to extend now an open invitation to all of you in the room today, investors, climate technology providers, and industry across all our sectors to partner on our journey to supercharge and accelerate tangible climate solutions.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. I think the key takeaways in this conversation are collaboration, leading by example, and also real action. Now, focusing on some more keywords, a keyword that was reinforced in the various discourse on the lead up to COP28 is nature-based solutions. So what are the benefits of investing in nature-based solutions to you?
So again, I will be brief. I don't want to take all the time from my fellow panelists, and I apologize again for not being there in person, so you can support me with this, guys. But nature-based, we talked about CCUS and CCS. Nature-based solutions are natural CCS, by the way. It's nature-based solutions are actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural ecosystems in ways that address climate change and promote biodiversity. So it's a no-brainer if you ask me, and we've embraced that concept from day one when we look at the way we run our operations, but also through planting mangroves across Abu Dhabi, helping to restore the natural carbon sinks. Mangroves are the best carbon sinks, and we know that they store around 5 times more carbon than land-based forests. So again, no-brainer. And we know that we all know about the benefits of mangroves restoration. But from an ADNOC perspective, we're committed to planting 10 million by 2030, and we'll accelerate. We're using technology to do that, to plant mangrove seeds. We planted so far 2.5 million, successfully grown mangrove seedlings using drone technology, a homegrown UAE startup that help us to accelerate the planting. So when I talked about partnerships, the UAE startup, technology, budget, nature-based solutions, and this will help for sure the UAE ambition to plant 100 million mangroves by 2030. So this is again partnership. We work very closely with the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi to progress this. So it's scientifically measured, and I believe nature-based solutions should be one of the low-hanging fruits, but the most effective way to achieve our targets.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim, for joining us. Thank you. So now we will direct.
Thank you so much. Until I go to my meeting, I'll have the pleasure. I'll put my camera and mic off, but I'm looking forward to listening to my fellow panelists.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. So now we move to Mr. Ahmed here. In response to the larger context of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 6th Assessment Report on Path to Net Zero by 2050, can you share some of the targets that you have set in place for DP World to achieve along its decarbonization journey?
Sure. First of all, thank you, BEEAH Group, for hosting such a summit in a very important time close to COP, and we know that sustainability is growing day by day. And I'm very actually excited every day to go to work, because I work in this field, because every day there's new challenges and new opportunities as well. So DP World was known for a very long time as a port operator only. But just if I can take less than a minute just to explain that DP World for the past almost 5 years has grown exponentially. So the group did a lot of acquisitions. The group is now consists not only of ports division, but as well maritime division and logistics division. So the ports and terminals division mainly operates ports in more than 70 countries around the world, across 6 continents, with dedicated and professional teams of more than 100,000 employees. Then in addition to the maritime and logistics, which is basically the maritime division that is responsible for everything offshore, in very simple words, and the logistics division is responsible for everything inland, so trucking, warehousing, and economic zones. So this is what we offer to our customers. So 2 years ago, we have set our decarbonization strategy, and to account for the diversity of businesses that we are responsible for, it was a bit challenging. But we have launched successfully the decarbonization strategy, which was set based on the Science-Based Targets initiative, which is an initiative that is a collaboration between the CDP, the World Wide Fund, and the WDI, that sets science-based targets that is aligned with the Paris Agreement. So our decarbonization strategy is aligned with the science-based targets, where we have set 3 targets, basically. So 28% reduction by 2030, carbon neutral by 2040, and then net zero by 2050. And the difference is, of course, by 2040, and on top of whatever reduction that we will achieve by that, we will be offsetting all the remainder carbon emissions through quality credits, which I will tap on maybe later today through our carbon compensation strategy that we also developed last year. And of course, by 2050, we want to achieve net zero, where we will hopefully have 0 emissions throughout our operations. Yeah, and that's in a nutshell what we were working on for the past couple of years. And now it's time to operationalize the strategy. Now it's time to communicate it, to collaborate with stakeholders and engage with our suppliers. So this is the time that is more exciting actually for me.
Absolutely, and hopefully, inshallah, you will reach those good targets. So now, to achieve these targets, as you just mentioned, the journey is a complex one. It's not an easy one, entailing challenges as well as opportunities. So can you highlight how have you structured your roadmap to achieve your objectives, and what are some of the key carbon reduction pillars that you are implementing?
question. So, part of our decarbonization strategy, we have identified 5 reduction pillars, where we call them the reduction pillars, basically. So, first one is equipment electrification. So, for our ports and terminals business, it's always a closed boundary. So, it's a closed environment. We have equipment and operations inside the port. So, electrification, 100% electrification. So we aim to electrify most of our equipment into that port. Second reduction pillar is renewable energy supply. So we electrify everything and we supply it with the green electricity to achieve net zero, basically. So we have also a case study that our port in Rotterdam in Netherlands is the first net zero port. So today our port in Rotterdam is fully electrified and runs on renewable energy through the grid. So that is a case study that we want to replicate across our value chain. And then the third pillar is, of course, energy efficiency. And I think Ayman will talk a lot about energy efficiency at Schneider. So energy efficiency is crucial because it's actually a lever to decarbonize. Then we focus on as well carbon compensation because we believe that along the way, we will still, of course, by 2040, at the minimum, we will need to offset our carbon emissions. So we have developed a carbon compensation strategy because we know by that time, we will have to compensate for the demand of our emissions. So we build a whole carbon compensation strategy that focuses on a mix of nature-based solutions and technologies and also a mix of either investment in early stages or offtake from the spot market or collaborate with technology providers. So that's in a nutshell what we have I'm very sorry, I forgot the last and the most important one is the alternative fuels. So the reduction pillar of alternative fuel because for the ports and terminals that I mentioned, it's a closed boundary. We can electrify and run on renewable energy, but the most challenge actually, almost 60% or 70% of our carbon footprint comes from our maritime and the logistics sector because it's mainly huge vessels, huge ships, and then trucking that go through countries. So the main reduction pillar, the most important one is, I believe that, and will be the most challenging, is the alternative fuels because we can always have ready trucks that can, or biofuel ready trucks, for example. We can have biofuel or methanol or ammonia ready vessels, but the most important is the infrastructure and the availability. That's why we go back to the point of engagement with stakeholders. That's the key. Green corridors and many other initiatives that it's been discussed today. So it all goes back to collaboration and all go back to engagement. So yeah, that's in our reduction.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think tapping on what the other panelists have mentioned, there are a lot of things that we can say in theory, but implementation is the key here. Implementation is the most important part. So now, Mr. Ayman, at Schneider Electric, you have set a clear commitment to decarbonization. Can you share some of the key targets and milestones at Schneider Electric, and also how often do you assess and review these targets and milestones?
Sure. So first, thanks BEEAH team for the invite, Engineer Khaled for us and the team, really appreciate it. I was asking for us if we can copy the Sustainovation Summit trademark in our COP panels, but we will not do that. But congratulations for a first successful event. And sorry, Engineer Nader, for giving you our back. We'll not do this at business for sure. So thanks to your question. So I think we defined a 3 levels approach when it comes to decarbonization. It first, it starts with what we call strategize, and then moving to digitize, and decarbonize will come at the end as a normal result if we do that. So when it comes to strategize, we as a Schneider are a manufacturer ourselves, so we have to lead by example and do this in our facilities, distribution centers, factories, and so on. And the second thing is to transfer this to our suppliers and customers. And the reason of that, because scope 1 and 2, which we managed under our facilities, is just representing almost 8% of our decarbonization roadmap. So it is, I will not say the easiest part, but it's like the smallest part. And when it comes to our customers and suppliers, this is more than 92%. So this was a strategized aspect of it. When it comes to digitize, we identified 5 areas of integration that if we manage to do properly in our facilities and in our customers and suppliers, we will be able to reach such KPIs. So the first integration is efficiency. Ahmed mentioned that. So we have been working for almost like 170 years on efficiency, whether process efficiency through our automation portfolio or energy efficiency through our electrical distribution portfolio. So coupling both will integrate and cause such a level of efficiency. The second integration which we are working on is what we called a one data. So we have been running like multiple acquisitions to enable our customers and partners to move from site-by-site operation to a unified operation. This unleashed, and in the first panel there was questions around AI, etc. When you do that, this unleashed the power of AI, and this unleashed as well the power of benchmarking. One of our flagship projects that we are proud of was with ADNOC, the ADNOC Panorama, which we did with our partners PI and Aviva. The third integration is what we called a digital twin, and honestly, we believe this is the hardest integration to happen. So, which is coupling the design and build with operate and maintain. I think Khazn referred to that. So we believe that sustainability equation is missing here, because when we design and build, we leverage the technologies we have today. But when we operate and maintain, we operate and maintain in the future. And normally the OPEX spending are much less and available for during the operation and maintenance. And this is where we struggle in modernization, retrofitting, adopting the new advanced technologies in our operations later. And when you see the commitments, which is becoming like a 2030 commitments, the 43% reduction, this means that what we design and build today should be net zero ready. And honestly, this is one of the biggest challenges that we are trying to untap with our customers and partners. The fourth integration is to move from opportunistic supply to a decarbonized supply, the way we see it. So at every moment of operations, you get the least carbon footprint, hopefully the cheapest carbon footprint as well. So this is the roadmap of integrations we are doing. So to put this in practice, we had identified 4 main KPIs to decarbonize. The first one is touching the education, because awareness is key. So we are committed to train 10 million people on sustainability. We launched an online platform free of charge. We call it Sustainability School, which we are working on increasing its adoption. So far we reached around 4 million. So we are accelerating the launch of that. The second thing is access to green energy to 50 million people. And we just launched our Q3 results, which is we are almost at 40 million. The third one, which is the most, I can say, hard work one, is a 14 gigawatt green purchase, green PPA. So we are doing this on behalf of our customers. We are doing this on behalf of our partners to decarbonize their journey. And the fourth KPI was 800 million metric ton CO2 saving. We committed to that, or we pledged for that in 2020. And so far we are at almost 600 plus. So it's this is a journey that we are doing on the decarbonization path. We review this every quarter, to your question. And we see challenges, definitely. We see opportunities, but definitely it's a journey to continue.
A lot of wonderful work has been done in Schneider Electric. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Mr. Ahmed, back to you. On the same note of importance of effective stakeholder engagement across your entire value chain. Over 90% of your Scope 3 emissions come from suppliers, as you have mentioned, and about the ships and the fleet that you have. So can you highlight some of the key initiatives and programs that you have launched to successfully reduce your Scope 3 emissions?
Very good with the number. I think 90% is the world average, but for us it's 93. Just to correct it. So because we recently successfully completed our Scope 3 strategy, Scope 3 emission strategy, we have developed a whole Scope 3 strategy that started by of course, measuring and assessing our carbon footprint across our value chain, and then coming up with a supplier engagement program. So that's in a nutshell. So I will talk more about the supplier engagement program. Actually, that was the outcome of the strategy, because that's the only way to decarbonize is to start decarbonizing our value chain is to start engaging with our suppliers and stakeholders. And the supplier engagement program actually starts with not engaging with the supplier. So we started by capacity building within our company, because we realized that even throughout building this strategy, that we need to engage with all teams in the company: finance, engineering, procurement, even HR, because they manage the business travel, right? So we had to do a variety of workshops and engagements internally. That's for our capacity building. And it went well, it went really great. And as a result of that, we were engaging a lot, just to give a small, short story, we were engaging a lot with our finance team and treasury team for our capacity building. And we actually concluded our work by recently, DP World actually raised $1.5 billion green sukuk that was published on Nasdaq Dubai and London Exchange. That is to, of course, to invest in our decarbonization projects. And that was a result of us engaging with the team and understanding how we can leverage sustainability and decarbonization projects that we already implemented and in plan or planning to implement within our group. So that is a great testament of how this is a crucial beginning to our supplier engagement. So then the supplier engagement program, of course, starts with engaging with our suppliers. We are identifying not necessarily 10, but the let's say 10 highest suppliers with impact and emissions. And then we already finished the capacity building, and then the plan is to start by next year engaging with our suppliers, understanding how we can help them decarbonize. To be very honest, most of the suppliers that we know, they are the big organizations that they are already very mature when it comes to Scope 3 and decarbonization. We already got many requests from suppliers for the same, to understand our decarbonization strategy or what we are doing in this field. And one big outcome as well of our Scope 3 emissions is carbon offsetting. Carbon offsetting is it's not a new term, we know it, but it's a terminology that I just need to describe. So basically, carbon offsetting is you use, or let's say, you invest in projects that is outside of your supply chain. So for example, we go and invest in a mangrove forest, or like Mr. Ibrahim mentioned, ADNOC is investing in a mangrove project. Of course, the mangrove project is outside of ADNOC's supply chain. It's not interfering in any way. But carbon offsetting is basically investing in decarbonization projects within your supply chain. So we go and we engage with our suppliers, for example, cement suppliers or steel manufacturers, and help invest within their operations to decarbonize. And that's alternately, of course, will help us reduce our Scope 3 emissions. So that was a major outcome, and that will be a priority to us, to be very honest, to direct our investments more toward carbon offsetting rather than offsetting, even though we already have a strategy to focus on carbon offsetting, because we have a commitment toward our communities that we operate in to build mangroves. There's a lot of also discussions on what we call them the smart cook stoves. We replace cook stoves in rural countries, and renewable energy supply for places where there's no proper grid. So that's something, but we will be focusing more on carbon offsetting, because we believe that is the way to decarbonize, is to engage with your suppliers, invest within their supply chain, and ultimately reduce your Scope 3 emissions and, of course, their Scope 1 and 2.
Thank you so much. That is a very interesting concept. Now, moving on to another point to you, Mr. Ayman, I would like to address an important catalyst of decarbonization, which is policy making and effective public-private partnerships. So from your experience, how can we advance policy making and accelerate public-private collaborations to achieve our goals?
Yeah, look, on this aspect, I like to be more into the hopeful side. So, and honestly speaking, you see almost the most Fortune 500 companies announced their climate pledge, right? So at least the commitment to start is there. Maybe the consistency to finish is a question mark. And you see most of the UN government members as well, they announced their carbon pledge, and we see acceleration, and definitely the UAE is in forefront of this. So we should be hopeful because the commitment is there, right? I think the question is around consistency and how we make sure that during this journey, because it's a long journey, it's up to 2050, we are addressing the challenges and the struggles, right? So everyone here has to play definitely his role. So on the government, maybe to give a good practice, because I had witnessed this with the UAE Ministry of Industry. You see the UAE Ministry of Industry launching what they call the Champions Program, 17 private sector companies, whether it's IT companies, OT companies, it's a lot is part of that. Siemens is part of that, Schneider is part of that, and consultancy. And we are bringing this wealth of knowledge of multiple views to the end users, to the manufacturers. Engineer Ibrahim mentioned the hard-to-abate sectors. One of the key avenues of this Champions program is to support the hard-to-abate sectors to digitize and decarbonize. This is a very good practice to put. And then we saw the ministry taking it to the next level after Schneider and other players did some like on-ground audits. And we see the picture on the ground, which even for us, sometimes, you know, any technology company will say, yeah, we know the market, we address, but when you go on the ground, you see the truth, right? You see the adoption. We learned a lot in this journey. But then we saw the Ministry of Industry do what they called an incentivization program, because incentivization is key. And this will come from the policymakers. So we all heard of the ITTI, I guess, the Industrial Technology Transformation Index, where if you get a specific score, you get 5 points in your ICV, in-country value. And we all know the importance of the in-country value to get more business, to support the top line and the bottom line. We learned today a lot around the bottom line. And as well, you get like 5 golden visas, which is supporting the employment and the HR teams. So such kind of collaboration, we are getting back to the same topic, collaboration between public and private, leveraging the tools, the enablers of each avenue, right? Coupling this with incentivization, building this on real data. Data is a topic, honestly speaking. When we set our targets, it's hard to define the baseline. It's really hard. You don't know really what's your CO2 footprint with all the projects, especially when you go to your suppliers, customers. The availability of data is not there. And then to monitor this on a real-time basis is even more complicated. So I think from a government perspective, the UAE Ministry of Industry is honestly amazing practice of collaboration, incentivization, getting real data based on market research, based on audits, surveys of the manufacturing plants. I think if we cascade this into all the avenues, I think definitely we will reach somewhere. We spoke about behavior, and I think discipline is key. So it's not only a CSR story. There are obstacles. There is the hardest part to address, to abate. And this has to be like being addressed very strongly, very transparently. We saw the pre-COP messages about COP of solidarity, COP of inclusion, green finance as a challenge, the building sector as a challenge, the transportation sector, the sustainability aviation fuel, Ahmed mentioned that. So let's address the challenges, not just like speak about them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayman. And I think whether we like to admit it or not, I think one of the biggest accelerators of change is either incentives or fines, whether we like to admit that or not. But here at BEEAH, and I've seen this as a pattern in all of the organizations that you are representing, we are also focusing on the importance of awareness and education and focusing on achieving these ambitious goals as well. So thank you so much. And to end this interesting discussion, I would like to hear from you, looking ahead, how do you see all of our collective efforts and progress in the journey of a net zero? I would like to address this question to all of our speakers.
You can start. So I have some time to think. No, I think it's, honestly, you know, we came in the morning with, definitely we went into the 1 hour traffic, But we are leaving the place definitely with some inspiration. Honestly speaking, when you see, and I'm here very open, when you see this place, it's a great example of how to do a net zero building, right? So it is there. It's not like dreams or PowerPoint slides. It is there. When you see the leaders who are driving this change, whether in Khazna, whether at BEEAH, whether at DP World, Ahmed gave me a brief in the morning. It's amazing. I think I was very boring to explain to him what Schneider is doing, but when you see ADNOC work, when you see the teams, honestly speaking, we should be hopeful because we started to see the narrative speaking a lot around actions, commitments, discipline. The awareness is improving a lot. Maybe once you have the awareness is the adoption. You don't enter today any facility or any place and sustainability is like, why he's speaking about sustainability, right? So I think we should be on the hopeful track. I think the post-COP, we are all speaking still around the road to COP. My manager is always reminding me of the post-COP things. So post-COP, I think we have a strong role to play when it comes to commitment and discipline, and to leverage this hype into transfer it into actions and collaboration, partnerships. We are running toward that, but I think how we execute this, how we create an impact out of this, is definitely what will define our success.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ahmed?
I think Ayman did a great summary, gave a great answer, but I just want to say, I want to add to one of the points you said, that technology is available. If you realize that technology is available, most of the technologies, and I mean technologies as well as solutions. I remember I was attending a training, a leadership training, and there was a very simple question, and part of an activity. So the instructor was asking, what would it take us to do, or how long it would take us to achieve our net zero target by 2050? So we took some time. We thought it's very hard because most of us think it's challenging. And then he told us, let me rephrase the question. Today is the New Year Eve of 2050. We are celebrating net zero. So the world, we saved the planet. So now go back and ask yourself, how did we do that? So we started reflecting and we realized that most of the answers we came up with were available solutions and available technologies. We just needed to connect the dots. We needed to engage with suppliers, scale, and we bring more people, more experts to the field, but technology is available. So that's something I really wanted to share, and I'm very optimistic person, and I believe we can achieve great things, and we are very proud that we are here in the UAE. And I'm also a great believer that this will be a very special and unique COP, hopefully, next month. So that's a summary of how I look at it.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you so much for our wonderful speakers today. And to wrap up this session, I would like to open the floor to our guests and the audience if you have any questions.
I think we did a great job.
Yeah, see? I think they need a break after 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any questions? Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you to our wonderful panel. Just before you leave the stages again, we'll ask you just to stand and take a group photo. And don't worry, the break is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again to our panel, and thank you, Nof. Now, just before we send you out to break, just a quick thing. As we mentioned before at the start of the summit, we are working to make this event carbon neutral. So we do ask that you support us by scanning the QR code, which is right here, filling out the form. If you have already, fantastic. Thank you so much. If you haven't, this is a great opportunity to do so. This helps us ensure this event is truly carbon neutral, and we know exactly how everyone got here today. Thank you very much. But more importantly, please enjoy your break. There's refreshments out in the atrium, and we'll see you back here shortly. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a good break. Recharge those batteries, ready for the second half of our agenda today. Now we're going to take a look at technologies for sustainability, and in particular how they're being developed from the perspective of a startup, which we hope you'll find very engaging. We're going to dial in now with Candem, a company that BEEAH has partnered with to share their experience through a virtual presentation. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Morning. Can you hear me well? Yes. All good? Perfect. So, good morning to everyone. It's very nice to be here. My name is Lucia Muñagorria, and I am working in Candem as a sales representative. And today I will explain you about our technologies and our partnership with BEEAH and the project we are doing together. So, to start with, I will give you a brief introduction about us. We are Candem. We are a company based in Barcelona, in Spain, and we developed a unique patented technology to increase the packaging recovery rates. We are already present in 11 countries, and we have raised 3.9 million till now. This year we are going to have revenues for 1 million euros, and finally we have our own internal team for R&D, that's 70% of engineers. So 3 months ago, we were at Sharjah, and we have been selected as the winner of the Access Sharjah Challenge, organized by Shira in the Transforming Waste Management vertical. We were selected by BEEAH Group for our innovative solution. And what is our solution? So we have developed ResiSmart. As you can see here in the picture, ResiSmart is an IoT device that is capable to recognize packaging material that citizens recycling in the streets, in the bins that are in the streets. So with our technology, you can know who is recycling what, when, and where. ResiSmart is a cost-effective technology that can turn smart any waste bin. By rewarding the citizens for the proper recycling, we can increase the participation in recycling and therefore collect more packaging. As you can see here in the picture, our device is adaptable to any waste bins. In particular, the pictures that you are seeing here are the bins that are in the city of Sharjah and the bins which we are going to work with. And how does it work? So basically, the first step is that the citizen connects to our device, and he can connect via the app that we have or with an RFID card, and then the recycling process starts. So the second step is that the citizen throw each packaging one by one, and ResiSmart characterizes the packaging material in real time. The citizen will then receive the corresponding rewards for recycling, and it will be able to change it for rewards, or it can also receive directly a cash refund. After all the process, all the data is sent to our platform, the ID of the citizen, the packaging that has recycled, and so then it's processed and analyzed in our platform. Our patented technology is capable of characterizing all the materials that you can see in the presentation. So plastic bottles, metal cans, beverage cartons, and also glass packaging. It's adaptable, so wherever it is the requirement of the bin, it can be configured for detecting different materials. So here we can see our ecosystem. With our solution, we create an ecosystem that connects citizens, brands and local businesses, city authorities, and waste services. On one side, we have our ResiSmart Citizen app, which the citizens can use, and they can recycle through the app. They can also see all their historial and all the points they got for recycling, that they can see their impact, and also they can use it for changing the points for rewards. Then we have the Gangnam Eco Market that we created, where brands and local businesses can create rewards that basically are the ones that then the users are going to exchange for their points. And finally, we have the Gangnam Back Office, which can be used by the administrators for all the metrics and information they need. So basically, with BEEAH, we are going to do a proof of concept that will consist in a pilot of 6 months in the university city of Sharjah. We will be installing 20 devices, and it will be a reward as you through system, which means that citizens will be rewarded for recycling, and then they will be able to change it for rewards. And we will be installing the technology during November, so you will be able to see the technology soon in the city of Sharjah. So to give you an idea about the impact that this project can have, I would like to explain you our last project that was in Guadalajara, that is a city in Spain. So we launched a very similar project, which consisted in a rewarding campaign that included schools and families, and for us the results were really surprising. So with 25 devices installed in only 2 weeks, we got 124,000 packaging recycled in more than 7,000 recycling sessions. So as you can see, the engagement was very amazing. Here I will show you some pictures of the pilot. Here you can see they were involved, the kids of the school, and here you can see some pictures of the pilot. And in addition, here you can see the quality impact that the project had. In the picture, you can see that in the right, there is a conventional opening of the bin, and then on the left, there is the smart opening. And as you can see, the waste quality increases. It also decreases the amount of improper materials in the bin. It increases the packaging recovery rate and decreases the quantities in other mixed waste. So the impact of this project is very big, and we expect the same or more for our pilot there. So to start wrapping up, this collaborative project with BEEAH promises a lot of global benefits that includes, for example, an increase in the packaging recovery rates of the city. It will also highlight BEEAH dedication to recycling technologies and awareness. And finally, it will contribute to the digitization of the waste cycle. So the countdown to COP28 has started, and we couldn't be more excited to be part of it. We are deeply thankful to Shira and BEEAH for this opportunity. It's our first step outside Europe, so we are very, very excited, and also into one of the world's fastest growing regions. So together we are ready to make a significant impact. And we thank you very, very much, and see you soon at COP28. Thank you very much for your attention.
Of course, thank you to Kandam for calling in all the way from Spain to let us know about the exciting new solutions they have to hitting some of our sustainability targets. Oh, well, are we able to take questions? Sorry. Okay, in that case, excuse me, we're going to turn things over to questions to the audience.
So, Lucia, thank you very much for this presentation. Many years ago, when I was living in the Netherlands, something similar was there with the collection of glass bottles. And actually, in the supermarket, it was possible to buy anything in glass, and you had to give it a deposit of some coins. And I see that this is not a practice anymore in the world. It might be an opportunity, again, also thanks to your technology, to ensure that the collection of plastic bottles and glass bottles and as well of cans and so on. If first of all, I believe that the collection should be possible, seeing that we are talking about fast-moving consumer goods, and so the supermarkets should be those to where to collect this kind of packaging to be reused and to be also let's say reduced in the waste management, because at the end I believe that a lot of energy is performed, a lot of energy is consumed to manage the waste management of those packaging. So the question is it possible here in UAE to work on some policy to introduce something similar and to ensure that the waste reduction on packaging will be reduced to minimum? And the question is for the BEEAH CEO.
Okay, thank you for the question. So what you're referring to that you had in the Netherlands is something called DRS, so it's a deposit return scheme, where basically it's built into the price of the product that you buy is a deposit that you get back when you return it. So that is a scheme that I believe Abu Dhabi is looking into. We did actually a study for them, for the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, on DRS to see the viability of it. So there's talks, but in general, I think the world's moved a bit away from that. Now back to the Candam, I think their solution helps in making sure that collection is digitized in a way where the products and the brands that are producing that want to have that information on how they can recover some of that material helps. And what's innovative about them is that their product can be fitted onto a bin. Rather than creating a special bin for that, you can put it onto existing bins and fit into that and get all of that data. So it will help things like a deposit return scheme and other initiatives to help reduce waste. Anything you want to add, Lucia, to that?
I think you explained it very, very well. Yeah, the idea of our solution is to adapt to the bins and all the infrastructure that is already there. So the bins, the trucks, everything, and be able to adapt to that and help in the recycling cycle in that way. But yeah, there is also these reverse vending machines that are the ones you were mentioning, that are in the Netherlands and in Germany mainly nowadays. I think it was very good, the answer. Let us know if you have any other doubts. I'm here to answer also.
Thank you once again. Any last questions from anybody in the audience? All right, well, I think that was a great presentation. It was obviously a great opportunity to see what you're working on, and we're excited to see it roll out here in November. Let's hear it for Camden. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our final panel for the Sustainovation Summit. Just bear with us just a minute as we get chairs back up here on stage, and we'll be having our third panel in just a minute. It's going to be a great one. It's under the theme of Nurturing Minds for a Sustainable World. Of course, we talked about our 3 pillars today. Our third pillar is, of course, green education, something that's just I think we can all agree is pretty essential that we talk about creating future thought leaders, that we talk about creating future warriors and people committed to the green transformation, both in the technological side and just in general in terms of the spirit of the thing as we move into COP28. So we're very excited to have some of our experts here discuss this in more detail in just a minute. So as we said, the panel is titled Nurturing Minds for a Sustainable World. We're going to focus on the importance of green education to enable sustainability in the current generation as well as in generations to come. And now I'd like to invite our experts to come to the stage. Of course, we have Hind Al-Huwaidi, Chief Education Officer at BEEAH, Dr. Saeed Al-Hassan, Professor at Khalifa University and founder of Manhat, Dr. Narjis Boubakri, Dean of the School of Business Administration and a professor at AUS. And of course, we'd also have to invite Murad bin Aid, Director of Strategy at A&B Advisory, who will be moderating our panel for today. Thank you, Murad. I'll turn things over to you.
You can hear me well, right? So good afternoon, everyone. In fact, we was discussing with Ayman from Schneider, and I think he did a good prelude on our panel discussion today on raising awareness. So I'm very excited to be moderating this panel discussion. So nurturing minds for a sustainable world. In fact, this is a topic I'm very excited about. I'm an educator myself. I'm a strategy director at Aiden Barber, and yes, so in fact we recognize here that education has the power to foster positive change within individuals, with communities and the environment. So in this discussion with our panelists, we'll focus on the role of education in raising awareness and empowering individuals, but by giving them the tools to contribute to a greener, more sustainable world. So when I say, of course, tools, it's not only about content, it's about information, it's about able to criticize certain things well, to be able to make probably better decisions later. So, and I'm very excited as well to hear some of the initiatives and activities from the panel and our discussion. So I'm delighted to introduce Hind Al-Huwaidi, Chief Education Officer at BEEAH, Dr. Narjis Boubakri, Dean of School of Business Administration and Professor at American University of Sharjah, and Dr. Saeed Al-Hassan, Professor at Khalifa University and founder of Manhat. I will start the first question to you, Dr. Narjis. At AUS, you have a range of programs. So my question is, how would you cascade awareness and education about sustainability across at all academic levels to how to give them green skills and capacities with your students?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity to be here. I'm very excited to participate in this first some innovation, and I hope that this is the beginning of a tradition, and we would be very, very happy to welcome you for the second edition, if ever, at the American University of Sharjah. That picture is me, although it doesn't look, I don't. That's what education does to you. So about bringing awareness, it is very important. We've heard about what the companies are doing on the ground, but this is the other side of the medallion. So it is a very big responsibility for educational institutions, including higher education institutions, to train the change makers of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, to have these green skills that you're talking about and to raise awareness. As far as the American University of Sharjah is concerned, we we have introduced a new mandatory course for all students. We have approximately 6,000 students. No matter what their discipline is, they have to take a course in sustainable development, and they, as much as they have to take a course, it's mandatory on entrepreneurship and innovation. In addition to that, we have, we introduce sustainability in about every course. At the business school, we offer certification. So our curriculum is linked to the CFA, to the CA, to the CPA, et cetera, And all of these certifications require now some knowledge in sustainability. So we have sustainability in almost every discipline that we teach in the School of Business Administration. And what we do is, if ever it is not fully covered in a course, we complement it with, let's say, we teach theory, but we invite guest speakers who come and tell us about how sustainability is approached in real life. So we have guest speakers, we organize events that are open to the entire AUS community, staff, students, professors, etc. We also foster awareness in everyday life. So, for instance, in the School of Business Administration, we don't sell plastic bottled water. We don't have that. Across campus, we don't have. We have different outlets where you go and buy groceries. We don't use plastic bags, and it's been some time already. We have these rooms, discussion rooms, open every Wednesday for the students interested in sustainability to actually gather and exchange views. And it is quite a popular activity, I have to say, without it being mandatory. What we noticed is there is a huge appetite among this young generation for sustainability issues. So they are very aware, very conscious. And what we do, even going further, we make our students themselves, between 17 years old, 18 years old, 22 years old, to actually go back to schools and introduce young kids to sustainability. I think it is very important that sustainability education and awareness is embedded in what we teach and what we do, because believe it or not, if you have kids, you don't spend much time with your kids compared to the school. So they spend most of their life basically at school. So that is where we need to increase awareness and improve or nurture their green skills. In terms of more advanced programs, so this is in the undergrad. In more advanced programs, it is especially research on sustainability. So we have a PhD program, we have master programs, and our students do research related to sustainability. But just to say that it is a journey that is conducted in the curriculum, in the classrooms, but it has to be also in terms of awareness. You were talking about awareness in the day-to-day life. So sustainability is a way of life. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Najas. In fact, you said that you were inviting guest speakers. Do you feel that today generation university level should be more exposed to corporate world, more than a guest lecturer coming to be? I mean, I believe in the learning by doing. Do you feel that we should see more of this? How do you complement with what they have to learn anyway, the content that we discussed, plus the exposure that they should have to be able to later to make a proper decision? Absolutely. Actually, what we do in that respect to involve our students on basically with companies on the ground, we organize the different competitions, let's say, because they need to learn by doing. So it's not only theory, as I mentioned. So we have competitions with different kinds of industries. We've had a competition with Rack Bank, another one with Amazon, and another one with Deloitte. And they touch upon, so the students are supposed to come up with a business plan related to a sustainable project. It may be in banking, it may be in health, it may be in any kind of industry. And so they get to actually, there is an ideation process, and it is a very, very constructive way of doing it. We organize innovation challenges also, where we invite panel of judges for
for them to look at the proposals from the students. And surprisingly, the students don't wait until the fourth year until they have all of their curriculum and courses taken to actually come up with an idea. They are very aggressive. First year, 16, 17, sometimes school visits, they come and they look at the infrastructure and we talk about sustainability and they have already an innovative idea in mind. So absolutely, I think it goes with close links to the industry.
You refer to aggressive students, means they are very proactive.
Very proactive, very proactive. I've been in the university here for 16 years, and there is a huge difference between the earlier generation and this generation. What we've noticed is before, we teach sustainability because it has to be taught, it is part of, of the trend, it is part of the future, etc. Now the students demand knowledge about sustainability, and it goes way beyond what we can explain, about the theoretical concept of sustainability, its impact on economic growth, etc., etc. So.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narges. I'd like to direct the next question to you, Hind. What are the programs that BEEAH Education is running to ensure that the larger sustainability mission of BEEAH is supported with public awareness, community engagement?
Thank you, Murad. It's a pleasure to be here discussing education, which is such an important topic. So today at BEEAH Education, we actually have a lot of awareness programs and initiatives that start from the grassroots level and then they go up to professionals across organizations, whether governmental or private. And all of them were developed and created with the aim of increasing environmental education and awareness, and to inspire leadership and positive environmental action, and to also provoke critical thinking when it comes to such an important topic as sustainability. Now, I actually want to go back in time, speak a little bit about the history of BEEAH Education. So back in 2010, this is when we developed our first program, which was known as the BEEAH School Environment. This was created with the aim of instilling environmental education and knowledge within the school communities. We started from KG up until grade 12, doing very interactive learning around different topics. We started with a focus on waste management because this was our core business in the beginning. And our aim was to try to increase knowledge about such an important topic. And our group CEO, Khalid, mentioned in the beginning the percentages that we reached in terms of diversion rates. And in order for us to have reached such a high percentage rate of 76% waste diversion, and then going up to as high as 90%, it was actually important to raise environmental education and awareness about how can we achieve those big numbers and big targets? Because when it comes to people in general, they need to believe that their actions are actually making a difference. And this is what we took in mind when developing all of these educational programs. We decided also to take it a step further because we saw this program being very successful over the years. We decided to expand it under a different name, which is known as the Academy of Sustainability, which doesn't cover only school communities, but then it goes up to university students, and then we cover also professionals across different sectors, because our aim is to make sure that everyone is equipped with the knowledge that they need, whether they're seeking a career in sustainability or they're just interested in furthering their knowledge around such an important topic. Now, this is more on like a school level, university level, but when it comes also to speaking high level, how can we introduce professional training? We have the Institute of Environmental Management and Sustainability, which we like to call the IMS Academy, which is also one of the programs that we have under BEEAH Education. Now, this is more focused on qualifications around key topics and courses which are very important, such as waste management, environmental management, circular economy, climate change, plastic pollution, net zero, just to name some of the programs that we have. And these are dedicated more towards university students and then professionals. Again, this is our way of trying to increase knowledge. Sustainability is something that's very important. It's a need right now. Everyone needs to know these topics. Everyone needs to know how can they make an impact, how can they make a difference. And this is what we're trying to teach them bit by bit. And a lot of people spoke about partnerships, and I also want to address this very important element, because in order for us to reach our targets and to make sure that our mission is complete, we also believe in the power of strategic partnerships. This is why we also have a very important partnership with Duracell, which is a partnership we've had for the past 5 years, started back in 2018. And this was more focused on an issue that they faced in the beginning, which was around discarded batteries, which again is a very important topic. So we created actually a competition under the title, The Great Battery Challenge, which addresses specifically that issue. We're trying to increase awareness around the student community. How can you put a solution for that challenge that we are facing nowadays, not just in the UAE, but as a whole? So these are just some of the programs that we have under BEEAH Education, which are supporting our global aim when it comes to efforts that are done by BEEAH Group as a general, and then in collaboration with the different partners that we have.
Thank you very much, Hind. We talked about, I think, between Dr. Narjis and yourself, the exposure that we give to students or younger generation. What incentives do you think, we should have for all students or different level to be able to participate? I realize that we are overwhelmed by the number of challenges, competition today. And we've seen that just type competition in the web, you'll see so many challenges and competitions. So how to incentivize younger generation? Hind, probably Dr. Najis would be able to say as well, how do you incentivize students?
It's actually very important, as you said, to put maybe some sort of incentivization on the way that we run the different programs that we have. I believe that competitions is a very strong part that we are introducing within the student community, maybe especially university students. And I actually want to highlight one of the competitions that we've had recently, which we launched with the College of Business Administration with Ajman University. The award ceremony was actually 3 days ago here at our headquarters. It's a competition that spanned over the course of 1 month, in which we had over 70 students from the university itself participating in this competition that was under the title Sustainability for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So we tried to provoke critical thinking. We actually took them to our waste management complex to learn about the different innovations that we have. Now, when it came to the actual award ceremony day, we had the students grouped in groups. They presented here on stage their ideas, their pitches, which were honestly very forward-thinking, very creative ideas that we would not have even imagined. So at the end of the day, we selected 3 winners that were focusing on different ideas that can be implemented and taken a step further. So it's giving these students a platform such as this one to encourage their creativity and just to make sure that the wider message is reached to everyone else.
Thank you. Maybe
I think it's very important that this is a very good example of what we can do for the students. But the incentives go beyond providing them with a platform. I think what they need is see the project or the idea go further. So if there is, at the end of the process, after they finish a competition, they are mentored, they get a mentor, they get a VC or a fund interested in going forward with the project or taking them to the other side. I think it will be quite we do that actually in some of our competitions. The end prize is actually an internship with the company that is sponsoring the innovation challenge. So as long as there is something, we've had that with HSBC, for instance. They provided us with a challenge that the students needed to complete, and the top 3 got an internship in HSBC. After the internship, one of them got a job, permanent job. So yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you very much. Let's transition to the world of innovation and entrepreneurship with you, Dr. Said. You are the founder of Manhat, a deep technology startup focusing on sustainable water production. Can you share with us the mission of Manhat, and as well, how do you balance between entrepreneurship and academia?
First of all, thank you for this invitation, and thanks BEEAH for this amazing venue and beautiful building. So we at Manhat, we actually developed a technology to make water by mimicking the natural water cycle. If you look at the natural water cycle, water evaporates, goes up to form the cloud, and come back as rain. For our region, we don't get rain. It was beautiful rain last week, but this is like once every blue moon. So what we try to do is to make it rain every day. The evaporation happening every day, and it will continue to happen. So we developed a device that we put it on open water surface to capture that water. And this water is pure, and we can use it for different applications like irrigation. So the idea behind it, or the philosophy behind it, is the following. If you look the human civilization, we always had food and water to create a civilization. Electricity came in the 1800s and makes our life much easier. But food and water remains the two things that we always need. If you go to the desert, you always like to have food and water, not electricity. So the idea is, if we have access to electricity right now, you're always gonna desalinate water, and then water will be used to grow food, and the cycle will continue. So I would like to cut this middleman called electricity from the water cycle. Because if you do it this way, you will always be bound by desalination through reverse osmosis. And this process is still carbon intensive, plus it produces brine. And brine is harmful to the environment. So the whole idea of using electricity is always to basically borrow from our future by satisfying our present. So cut the middleman, produce water without electricity. This water should be as cheap as the current desalination, and use that for whatever purpose you would like to achieve. We focus on actually using this water for farming and agricultural activities, because our region historically, from purely physics point of view, we don't have fresh water and we don't have a huge agricultural activities. It's always seasonal. Thank God for palm trees, they survive the environment. That's why we have some sort of civilization before the discovery of oil. But after the discovery of oil, we accelerated our economy. The economy is growing so rapidly. We still need to import 90% of our food, and that is one of the bottlenecks to sustain this region in the future. So that's what we do in Manhat, in a nutshell. It's a longer story, but this is a summary of what it is. Now, in terms of balancing academia and entrepreneurship, one thing I would like to say is that the entire region, and especially the Arab region, we look at academia from the prism of Islamic universities. A professor in the university is always look like an Azhar sheikh who will just give you a theoretical knowledge. He is disconnected from what's happening on the ground. How many faculties in UAE have startups or have contributed immediately to the economy in any shape or form? Yes, there are examples of faculties who give consultancies, faculties who develop programs that can help in specific areas, but it's not at the critical mass where we would like it to be. How many of us here have actually know the Pfizer vaccine? Everybody knows the Pfizer vaccine? Everybody got it in their bodies?
3 times.
Okay. So the story behind the Pfizer vaccine is a company called BioNTech, which was established by 2 biology professors in Germany in 2008. And they got a seed investment of 150 million euro to start the company. And these 2 professors are the CEOs and technology officers, and they still, until today, go to the lab, do the experiments, and translate what they do to the market. BioNTech is the company that actually used messenger RNA technology, which was developed by Professor Katie, who ended up winning the Nobel Prize for Medicine this year. And in the pandemic, it's the first time they ever used the technology. 12 years of development and almost $1 billion of investment in the company, they used it for the first time during the pandemic. And it's in our bodies. Now, these 2 professors are billionaires because the company became so rich, and they're still in the lab. They did not abandon the academia, they did not become only theoretician, but they wanted to use their knowledge to create something that can help humanities. So if you look at this, it's one of the most crystal clear models of how we should look at the balance between academia and entrepreneurship. We want faculties like those, academicians like those in the UAE to allow us to create $1 billion company that can propel the economy in a sustainable fashion. Now, this example was in biotech and medicine, but the idea is you can expand it in many other fields as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Said. Dr. Najas, I'd like to come back to you. AUS is a member of the UCN, Universities Climate Network. So can you share the initiative AUS has launched in preparation for COP28 and the activities or events that you're planning as well during COP, during the event?
Thank you. I believe it started way before COP28 because at the university we have created an office for sustainability about 7 or 8 years ago. And so different things have been happening over time, like as faculty we live on campus, it's like a community. And so, for instance, they have introduced sustainable housing. They have been changing housing into sustainable housing. We have, the university has introduced scooters so that you don't have to take a campus. I don't know if you visited the American University of Sharjah. It's a beautiful campus, but it's spread out. And so for the students to go from one building to another, sometimes they need to take their car and drive to the other building and park in the other parking. So the university has introduced, for instance, these electric scooters for them to move around. Of course, we can use them too. I was talking about the zero plastic bags initiative also. So all of this has been happening over time, and it goes with the awareness that we were talking about a while earlier. Now, as COP28 approached, I think things have accelerated. So we have weekly events on sustainability. We bring guest speakers, as I was mentioning a while ago, to talk about sustainability in all shapes and forms. We have at the school specifically, we will be launching at the end of the month the first recycling of e-waste. We were talking about batteries a while ago, I think, and the students are just waiting for the moment to bring in their electronics to this facility within the School of Business. We have introduced a new workshop on careers in sustainability in business to elevate the awareness, because sometimes sustainability is associated to entrepreneurship. It is not necessarily associated with a degree in business. So now we show them that actually every single company has this is a tendency, has a sustainability director or a sustainability manager. In all our student organizations, the students themselves asked to have a student sustainability officer in every student organization that we have. We have several activities coming up, especially about recycling, hydroponic culture within the School of Business. We have an area where we're going to install those. Yeah.
And do we see the excitement from the students to be part of COP28?
Oh yeah, we don't need to tell them what to do. These ideas came from the students themselves. So as I was mentioning earlier, there is a demand for sustainability, and it is not from, the environment, etc., but this generation Z is completely different. They are very environment aware, and whatever activity or whatever project we undertake is actually coming from the students themselves. They propose, they insist, they demand these things, and we can only accommodate, because this is exactly what we are supposed to do.
Thank you very much. Maybe some of our audience is not aware that the students will be finishing classes before.
Yes, we shortened the semester. We shortened the semester to allow earlier, so by the 23rd of November. The students hated it at the beginning, but we said, yes, you get at least the opportunity to participate in COP28 activities right after the final, so they still have time. So they come they come to class over the weekend right now, so that we are able to shorten the semester.
And they're very happy.
So yeah, they are very happy, and they are very happy. Over the weekend they are not happy, but when you explain what it is for, they are very happy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Najis. Let's continue our exploration of sustainability initiative with you, Hind. You have recently announced the new edition of the Future Pioneers Award, which is an international award designed to recognize and reward the innovative ideas and projects aiming to shape the future of sustainability. So if you can please share the vision of the award, when you started, and the outcomes, output and outcomes that you're expecting from this award.
Yeah. The Future Pioneers Award by BEEAH is actually an evolution and progression of one of our existing competitions, which was known as the Environmental Excellence School Award, which has been running very successfully for 11 years. But then we decided to make a change to this award that we've had because it has been very successful. And Khalid gives us a great example when it comes to taking risks. So we decided to take a leap instead of just going with a logical step of Gulf region. We decided to go international with the award just to cover a wider scope. And just rather than focusing on school communities, we decided to open it up to also university students and to professionals across corporates. So this is where we have the award also, luckily this year under the patronage of Her Excellency Sheikha Bidur Al-Qasimi, who's a very strong advocate for innovation and education as well. So when it comes to the Future Pioneers Award, this is about encouraging creativity and innovation around different topics and focusing on themes such as waste management, energy conservation, water conservation, sustainable architecture, artificial intelligence. So there is something for everyone to take part in this award. And it also covers individuals, groups, corporates. Some of the categories that we have as part of the award that I want to mention are documentary videos, social media campaigns, prototypes, inventions, best sustainable organization. So there is everything, and everyone can take part in the competition through the different sustainability initiatives that they have. Now, the way that we did it, it's a journey that the participants are going through. We launched it during April this year, and it's a journey that is concluding in December, 7th of December. This is when we have the award ceremony, selected specifically as an off day during COP28. So the participants went through a journey of taking part in the competition, submitting their projects after continuous feedback with the judging committee that we have. Then we've actually had a round of deliberation between internal and external judges to check the quality of the projects that we have received. And we were very happy, very thankful to have actually received applications from over 400 participants across the globe, ranging from countries, of course, the UAE being the biggest, but then we had also participation from Oman, Bahrain, US, UK, Italy, Portugal, just to name some of the countries that we have received the applications from. Now, currently, we're doing the final selection of the winners. Once we have selected them, as I mentioned, during December 7th, this is when we will actually announce the winners to everyone. And the outcomes that we would actually take is we would be working very closely with the winners in this competition to take their projects to the next step. And we also have actually one of the sponsors for the award, the BEEAH Group, who have also agreed to take one of the winners who will be specifically in the university category for an internship opportunity at Italy. So this is, again, another step that we are adding to the Future Pioneers Award.
Thank you very much, Hind. I mean, maybe something to mention related to the FPA, Future Pioneers Award. You're not only engaging with the startups or corporate, you're engaging, of course, with the youth as well, at a different level. And I felt this is something very interesting. You give them a category, social media. So somehow we are managing to, or you are managing to connect with today's generation using it. And I've seen some of the work from the young students on social media, on their campaign. Very interesting, and it's a way as well to engage and to raise awareness of a specific issue. So well done on that. Thank you very much. Dr. Saeed, as a professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering, I'll ask you this question, of course, how can you transfer the knowledge and experience from entrepreneurship to contribute to green capacity building in the university? And then, yeah.
All right. So when I started my career in 2011 at the Petroleum Institute, one of the first things I wanted to focus on is two things, actually. The first one is to help students understand that knowledge does not come from a vacuum, and it's a process of R&D over the years. So the idea that consuming knowledge just for the sake of it is not healthy. You have to be active in knowledge creation. The second thing I did is I recruited a lot of senior design projects students, the capstone project students, and we work on projects that have some tangible results. I advised almost 23 groups, and from these groups, 2 of them ended up filing for patents with me on technology that I would like to bring to the market. And 1/3 group, we actually published scientific papers, which at the time was unheard of. You take senior students, just ask them to do research and publish. And the point behind all of these things is to instill in students the idea that the time now is different than the time before. It's not only about basically graduating and securing a job or waiting for a job to happen. The idea is that you need to be in charge of your career as well. And actually this year, these design project students, I told them, whatever you design, I want to take it and actually open a startup based on that. So the incentives is that they have to know whatever they do is not only for the grades. It has to be for something beyond the grade. And the project that they are engaged in is actually to make some chemicals that we would like to use in developing smart materials. These materials, they work in a way that allow them to absorb humidity and release the water autonomously without electricity. It's almost like a flower opening and closing naturally. So the idea is I wanted them to do this project so I can actually take the business plan and talk to investors. And they should be engaged with me in this. I told them, you will be the CEOs, the technical people who will run this with me. It's not only myself. So the idea is I use my platform as a professor to help the students do things hands-on and understand how things work. Instead of waiting for things to happen to them, you also need to be in charge of part of your career. And right now, entrepreneurship and SME is a huge focus for the UAE overall. And they are the next generation who will be the creators of startups that can be $1 billion companies, unicorns, and so on. So that's what I wanted to do. So far, if you ask me, did any one of them start as a startup? I don't know, frankly speaking. I know a lot of them have secured jobs. But I'm more, I think the next generation will be more keen toward doing this, more than the previous generation.
I feel across the activities and initiatives that we discussed, we see the importance of connecting the youth with a specific reality. I think we should see more of this. I would like to ask you a couple of questions to you, some more broad questions. And we're in a time of actions and evaluation. So how do you assess the progress of awareness and students' engagement with the sustainability topics? And I'll have a second question later, but maybe one of Dr. Najas will be able to answer.
I think at the beginning I touched upon the profile of this new generation. I think awareness has happened over time. I think it started in school, but we're contributing also to raising awareness about sustainability in the schools. I think there is, as I mentioned, there is a huge difference between this generation who's tech savvy but very environmental conscious and compared to the previous one. I think awareness is there. As I mentioned, they demand, they demand material, they demand support for sustainability issues, and very, very often they actually blame our generation for messing up things for them and leading them to actually work on improving things. But I think this generation is a generation of change makers and innovators. Very entrepreneurial in spirit, so I think that to them this is the time for action. It's not rhetoric anymore. It's not theory anymore, and so I think you see it. You see participation of every time there is a competition, it's oversubscribed, for instance, by students and young participants from all over the world.
So you assess the progress through the level of engagement
yes,
throughout the year,
by student engagement, yes, yes.
Is that at your level, probably, Dr. Said, do you see the same thing as well, related to the progress, how you were able to assess the progress from your students at university level, at your class?
On yearly basis, I can see how the student starts doing the project and how they end up with the change in mentality toward when it comes to sustainability, towards sustainability and entrepreneurship. But I think the challenge is it's not doing entrepreneurship and the projects in classroom. That's one thing. Bringing it to the market as a business, that's a very different beast. You always have a plan until you are punched in the face. And the market will punch you left, right, and center. So the students, I don't know how you create this environment. It's just, you cannot replicate it. So the market is just so dynamic. They have to go through it and see whether they actually interested in doing entrepreneurship. Because on paper and a beautiful presentation is one thing, but when you go through it is a bit different challenge. So I think one thing we can do collectively is to create this environment, so or push them to actually go to the market as soon as they can, just to see what happens. Yeah.
Last question that I have is, what promising opportunities do you see for nurturing an environmentally conscious and responsible generation? I don't know if probably Hind will be able to.
Of course. So when it comes to nurturing environmental education and awareness, again, this is something that is very important, the topic of our conversation today. When it comes to that, we're actually launching, and I wanted to highlight one of our programs, a very key program that we have been working very hard on, which is the Young Pioneers for Sustainability program, which will be launched within the next 2 weeks. Now, this is our way to make environmental education mandatory, especially at high school level, because we believe that they need the strong foundation before they actually reach university level, in which, of course, my fellow colleagues over here would take on the responsibility of educating them further when it comes to sustainability topics. Now, this program is focusing mainly on 4 important topics that have been selected very carefully, which are around circular economy, climate change, the UN SDGs, as well as ecological footprint. They have been carefully selected, recorded, and when it comes to this program, we're tough, we're not lenient, we're not accepting anything rather than 100% passing score from taking a quiz once you finalize actually each of the recorded videos that we have as part of the program. So because certain things in life can either be a pass or fail, I believe environmental education should be something that is passed fully, something that everyone needs to know about, something that is very important right now. And this is where this program would equip them with the knowledge that they need. And at the end of it, they would get the sustainability certification, which also Khalid mentioned a little bit. We're working on a similar program for government employees across Sharjah level to also be sustainability advocates and to be certified specifically on that sector. So this is where we're starting it with high schoolers, launching it within the next 2 weeks. We believe it's something that's very important, and this is our way to make it mandatory because honestly, it's the right time to make it happen.
Thank you very much. I heard I just put 3 words, in fact, the importance of having the right ecosystem. I think we came across this on the previous panels. Exposure, that is important to be able to empower individuals. So I think those 3 elements are very important. And I'd like to ask probably the audience if you have any questions to our panelists. Do I have a mic?
Sorry, I didn't catch your name, Professor from the US.
Narjis Boubakri.
Narjis, okay. Professor, regarding the result, right? So you said you had some initiative around like plastic prevention. So do you measure and announce because like always it's good to measure the impact, how much we reduced electricity, how much we reduced carbon footprint. So do you do that?
I think the Office of Sustainability is actually working on a report of that sort. and I will be very happy to share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But they say that it was a significant win on that.
It's always good to monitor and like announce the result. And we, like as a consultant, we always advise, even if it is not like looks huge from like magnitude value, we put it percentage wise, so it will also give the value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
But the community in AUS is very large. And so having all of we live in a gated area. So when there is an activity like this, it touches upon everyone. So yeah, I'll share the report with you.
So I think I could ask. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ladies first. Okay. So I just want to say thank you everybody for sharing this amazing program, especially from your side, Ms. Hind. I can't wait to be part of this initiatives. But I just want to share my experience. I was one of the guest speaker. It was my pleasure, and I just want to confirm all what Dr. Nergis confirmed about today's generation. They exactly know what they want and how even they do it. I just want to recall one of the students' question, and it was a hard question for me. He was asking me, Doctor, we know what we do. We know what is the right choice, which is sustainability. But sometimes we start do it, but we cannot commitment. We cannot continue. So this kind of power that we have, these students nowadays, they want a time, they want someone to listen. And after I done my lecture session there, I had contacted 35 students. They just want to talk to me about how they can translate their ideas, as Dr. Saeed said, to be business case. That's the only things they ask. So my questions is leading off this situation and experience. As an academic organization and as a leader organization in terms of waste management, when you set the sustainability initiatives, activities, programs, do you have a yearly objectives, clear objectives with numbers, with the strategic, like this year we would love to have 5 startup companies in this area. Like as an example, I am sharing this. To have the academic organization, or it's just, I don't want to say randomly, it's a need activity. Do you have a clear strategic objectives for this education community, the students, especially for the university?
Sorry, this is a question to you?
Yeah, question for, like, who want to answer it? Like, I mean, for the university, like, do you have a clear?
So do they have a target
yes,
on a yearly
clear
basis?
Goals, yes.
Okay, I will tell you about the initiative. For instance, I didn't mention earlier that on our way to COP28, we have just, the university has just approved the creation of a multidisciplinary research center in entrepreneurship and sustainable development. This is how it is called. And the idea is to partner with Shira and the Research and Technology Park in an ecosystem to actually do what Dr. Saeed was mentioning, push forward. It's channel whatever the talent, ideas, promising projects to more applications. So get a chance to be evaluated, financed, mentored, etc., etc. So the other side or the next step. In terms of how within this ecosystem, KPIs in terms of how many startups we would like to launch. I don't think we went that far, although at the country level, I read a report that they are aiming for by 2030 to have 3 unicorn companies. And so to get to those 3, given a success rate of 10%, 10% of companies actually make it and survive, I think we're doing our best to contribute to that vision. But specific numbers of we didn't put that yet in place. Coming up, the center was just approved. Yeah, we'll hear more about it by January, inshallah.
Great, thank you. Is there any more questions? I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for the panel. Great insights from all. My question is to Hind, but also before I start with the question, I just want to say that I'm very jealous of AUS students being an alumni from AUS.
Oh.
Sustainability during our time was just to make sure that the cup of coffee will go into the recycling bin. So I think I graduated too soon. Yeah, but great job that you're doing that. Hind, my question is actually regarding the solar waste, because 20 or 30 years from now, the landfill is going to be cluttered with hundreds square kilometers of solar plants. UAE is home to one of the largest solar power plants. So I'm not sure if BEEAH is having a plan to recycle the solar waste. And being from Taqa myself in Abu Dhabi, we've built around now 3 of the biggest ones, and Dubai is also home to one of the largest ones. So what's BEEAH plan for the solar waste in the future?
Khaled, do you want to cover that? See, I'll speak more about solar and what we're doing in terms of solar. So as Khaled mentioned maybe in the beginning, we're focusing on our goal to have zero waste to landfill. And part of that is not utilizing the landfill anymore, and that would be by having solar panels at the roof, which is one of the projects that we have in collaboration with Masdar. So this is our way of turning an existing space, maximizing the potential of solar energy, and then just having it at the top of the landfill. Now, I believe maybe it's too soon of a discussion, honestly, to talk about what would happen to the waste, because we still haven't started, honestly, building the solar panels.
Yes, I'm talking about the end of life.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that I spoke to, whether the PV manufacturers or the suppliers, there doesn't seem to be a very clear plan on what is this going to happen, because there is expected in Abu Dhabi to be around 17 gigawatt, and you're talking about 20 square kilometers.
You know, we treat all types of waste. Okay. So you know, today, as I was saying earlier, we have 11 different facilities that treat all types of waste. Okay. So looking at solar panels, looking at now, for example, EV batteries for vehicles. That's going to be a big problem upcoming. So that we've signed with the Ministry of Energy, and we're working on EV batteries. The problem is not now. Yeah, EV batteries coming in the next few years. Exactly. So we're already working on that. Radioactive waste, we're working on it right now. Solar, we're working on it, but it's not there yet. But that's so when I go back and say every type of waste we are addressing, but different timelines. Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. About to receive some signs from the back, but another one here.
Hello, congratulations on a great event. Particularly, I'd just like to congratulate Dr. Narges. I have a great experience with the university. In fact, back in 2017, I personally trained a selected team of personnel, not faculty, on sustainability back in 2017. Yeah. So that was really, really impressive when it comes to the educational sector. So my question is, most of the questions and the presentations were about the environmental side of sustainability. How do you address the social aspect as well as the governance aspect? Especially governance is so intangible that people really have difficulties on understanding what falls under the governance pillar of sustainability.
Very, very good question indeed, because in our strategic plan, we have the header, sustainability, but it touches upon, it's not only environmental, it is also financial, and it is also in terms of governance. And the school's KPIs in terms of organizational sustainability is to have transparent communication, for instance, enhancement of sustainable practices. You think of meetings, for instance, they don't have to be in person, they can be, a number of meetings is a KPI for efficiency. But even more sustainable efficiency dictates that the meetings are online. For instance, you don't need to drive your car to come. So we do. I 100% agree with you. There is a lot of other aspects of sustainability that we haven't addressed today, but we need to be aware of. And so within the School of Business, when I say we have sustainability, for instance, a mandatory course, or we have sustainability embedded in different courses. For instance, we have sustainable entrepreneurship. We have management sustainability, which is the governance that you are referring to. We have a 360 approach to sustainability. But yes, I understand that today the most important is to look into environmental sustainability.
In fact, sustainability is included in every course.
Yes. And so depending on the discipline, it is different. So different kinds of sustainability. And thank you for your training.
Thank you. And maybe, yes, a question, right? Yes.
Hi, my name is Ali Al-Awlaki. I have two questions. Are entrepreneurs born or made? And secondly, especially with Gen Z, who are starting their careers and they want the financial security of a professional job, they usually have to choose a profession or entrepreneurship. Why can't both be encouraged? But of course, that needs buy-in from the organizations, top leadership, like a KPI, 10% of your time for your startup. I think that's sustainability, isn't it? And more to achieve even the high targets of SME growth in the UAE, it needs buy-in from our, I think, organizations in terms of encouraging both profession and entrepreneur. And financial security.
Yeah.
Probably. Probably.
All right, so
more a choice.
But for all of you as well.
Entrepreneurs are made. I mean, you just don't born with entrepreneurship. You have to just go through it. You have to train yourself. If you ask me 20 years ago whether I will open a startup, I would say this is a pipe dream, as they say. It's just, I didn't see it. But when you have a target to actually use your knowledge to impact the economy, then it's inevitable that you actually have to be an entrepreneur. But when it comes to the current generation of how to do it, I think, I mean, there are already some programs at the government level where if you are an employee, you want to pursue certain ideas, you can take some time off, I believe, at the federal level. There's already a program. But if you are just fresh graduate, it depends on many different factors. If you really believe on the ideas and you want to actually live your entrepreneurship and want to pursue it and spend all your energy on it, so then that's fine. That's what happened in like the Facebook, for example, when they started just a brute force of just trying to make the startup work and the company expand as much as possible. Now the challenge is that about the intent and the people who wants to grow the entrepreneurship. It's about the ecosystem where someone is willing to give you $1 million, $2 million, $3 million as investment. It's a very high risk. So that's the challenge, is the mechanism of getting the money to do this. That's why you see a lot of the entrepreneurship ideas are something that worked somewhere else and was brought here and was tweaked to satisfy the current market. Career, for example, is a version of share riding that is already there. But they actually customized it and becomes very indispensable. But again, so it's a matter of many different things. You can delay your entrepreneurship career just to have some stable job. But again, it depends on individual circumstances. It's not like one thing for everybody.
Probably a state of mind as well. You're going to reach a point where you're going to take more risk, I suppose. And I think the ecosystem that we're building is important as well to have that in mind. And we discussed about empowering individuals, giving them the tools. Tools are important at university level. All exposure will say one day I will take more risk and probably move to launch a venture. Yes, please.
I'd like to ask you a question, if I may.
Yeah. I said yes, please. As yeah, of course.
So perhaps yes, I perhaps don't need.
We didn't need the mic, in fact, but.
I will try with the microphone anyway. First and foremost, before I even start asking the question, I'd really like to thank from the bottom of my heart for the kind of organization of this really remarkable event. From the very beginning, from the kindness in your invitation and organization, from the selection of the panelists to the selection of the topics, from the beginning till the end, this has been a really remarkable journey. You have used the Sustainovation as the leading element of it. I think it's also very much inspiring and thought-provoking. So once more, thank you very much. Coming against the backdrop of the nurturing mind for a sustainable world, we have elaborated quite a lot about startups, new companies. But I would like to ask perhaps you, Mrs. Hind, from the perspective of somebody who is looking at education, but also as a employer here. What types of educational backgrounds are you looking for when you are looking for the new potential employees? A company like BEEAH is really expanding. Many things are really being developed here. Waste to energy, for example. So that provokes me to ask the question, what are you looking for engineers? Are you looking for AI specialists? Or what other elements do you look in the people's backgrounds in education? Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for your question and for your kind words as well. When it comes to BEEAH Group, everything that you have mentioned and even more, because we're an international holding company with different verticals falling under it. So we have BEEAH Tamleef, BEEAH Recycling, Transport, Education, Healthcare, even real estate. So we're looking for everyone with any background ranging from environmental education to engineers, IT specialists. My team comprises of members who have background in environmental education, HR background, people who have background in training and development, as well as people who have background in PR. So it's not necessarily something that is directly related to your job, because as we have learned, it's not about the degree that you have, it's about the practical experience that you are learning during your job. So we're accepting everyone and anyone from different backgrounds. So for example, if we're from the vertical of BEEAH Energy, this is where maybe it's more focused on engineers specifically. In BEEAH Recycling, we're looking for, again, engineers, but then people from different backgrounds as well. We have our real estate vertical, which again focuses on people with maybe civil engineering background, interior design background. So there is room for anyone to basically join BEEAH Group. There is everyone that, a position that would fit everyone with any background.
Thank you very much. As Mr. Tariq said in one of the first panels, he said the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed, but I guess it is here definitely.
Yes.
At this place very much so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have another question, if we can have the mic. Please, thank you very much.
Yes, this is Marwa Al-Awadi from Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure. My question for Ms. Huda. Most of what have been mentioned during the session focus on the students, student education. But what about increasing the awareness for other social segments, for example, families or laborers? And we need to differentiate between the education and the awareness. They are linked, but also they are different. So what are some of the BEEAH initiatives in terms of increasing the awareness for different social segments?
Thank you for your question. As I mentioned, we have a lot of programs. I tried not to mention a lot of them because they could be a bit overwhelming maybe to everyone to hear about. But just to maybe mention some of the programs that specifically mention the target audience that you specifically mentioned. So when it comes to the general public, we actually launched a program back in 2012, which is more focused on door-to-door awareness. So we actually had a dedicated team going house to house in Sharjah, because that's when we actually introduced the residential recycling bins around the different neighborhoods in Sharjah. So if you're from Sharjah, I'm sure you've seen the bins. So this is when we actually launched the program, in which we had a team actually going house to house, delivering environmental education awareness to the household workers and to the parents as well. just to make sure that they have the knowledge that they need in order to know how can you properly segregate your waste in the bins that have been provided, because ultimately it ensures that we receive clean recyclable material, leading to better recovery of the materials that we have. Now, this is something that is more focused around the community, I would say. Now, when it comes to the laborers, again, as part of the IMS Academy, the Institute of Environmental Management and Sustainability, we actually do extensive training courses specifically for the workforce. So this is not just for the workforce of BEEAH Group, but then we're also doing it for workforce of other organizations who are interested in this type of training. So again, it's not just focused around waste and environmental management, but again, like different topics that that person who is in a workforce position would need. So our education program basically cover everyone. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. I think we closed all the questions, if I'm correct. So thank you very much for your question. I'd like to thank our guest as well. It was a very insightful conversation. So thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
And of course, we'd kind of like our panel to come stand here in the middle of the stage for a group photo. Thank you very much. Thank you once again to our fantastic last panel. And of course, thank you to all of you for those insightful questions. We are at the end of our panel, but our event is not truly over until you've toured the BEEAH headquarters building and of course enjoyed the lunch that we have planned for you. We ask you kindly exit the auditorium. There are some tour group leaders there in the atrium who are excited to show you the examples of sustainability and innovation here at the headquarters. We also encourage you to connect with one another over lunch in the lobby. Thank you all very much for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you for being here. We hope you took some new insights and ideas home with you. Following on from this summit, you will be receiving a white paper summarizing key insights and learnings from today's sessions, put together with the help of AI, something we've heard a lot about today. And of course, we'll be sharing with you the carbon offset report for the Sustainovation Summit and the associated offset project that you all helped us put together today. Thank you once again. Sustainovation Summit is planned to be held annually here at the BEEAH headquarters, so we hope to see you at the next one. Have a fantastic day. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.